later on.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer temperatures hanging on out there. Lots of sunshine today, another hot one up to 93 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Is it possible that a Democratic majority county council will honor Charlie Kirk right here in the St. Louis area? Yeah, I've got more details for you in the news dump here in, I guess about 30 minutes or so. But the St. Louis County Council will be considering a resolution to do that tonight. This is going to be interesting. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Also, a little bit later on, 7:35. Let's have some fun. Ryan Mustone owns Nutrition Stop, and you hear me talking about them all the time. He's the guy who's helped me get really healthy. So we're going to let you send him any question you want, and then we'll talk to him in studio right around 7:35. So you want to get healthy? Want to get healthy again? Well, you got a chance to get some information just a little bit later on. All right, the special session is over. The new congressional maps are redrawn, and assuming they survive court challenge, starting in 2026, there are going to be 7 Republicans going to Congress from Missouri, and initiative petition reform also is a done deal. At least that's going to go to the voters. So we spoke with State Senator Nick Schroer about the accomplishments of the special session and about what's next in Missouri, and here's what he had to say.
I've got to ask regarding the murder of Charlie Kirk. I want to start there real quick, Nick. I mean, obviously your reaction when you heard the news, but bigger than that, what's your reaction to, you think, the impact this is going to have on the conservative movement itself? Maybe not necessarily just the Republican Party, but the conservative movement itself.
Man, I'll tell you what, I was on the Senate floor listening to a lot of the hate and vitriol coming out of the Democrats' mouths. On the Missouri Senate floor. And they were talking about, Donald Trump's a pedophile. Republicans are just protecting pedophiles. And it's that type of hate that I firmly believe, and these type of lies and smears that we've heard for years from the Democrats, that I think has kind of fed these assassins, the guys that try to take out Donald J. Trump, the guy that ultimately did, and we're going to learn a lot more about him, assassinated Charlie Kirk and the many trans shooters that are going into Christian schools and committing these heinous crimes. And coming back to the floor after I saw that he was shot, and like Congressman Under said, being a hunter and my wife in the medical field, I knew that a shot with that type of force that came through and hit him in the neck, I really didn't think that he was going to survive it. I think it's going to have to the conservative movement is, I can't even put words on it. I think there's a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, but I think that's turning into motivation and seeing exactly what Charlie stood for. Many people that I know are purchasing up, and they're sold out when you go online at Turning Point USA, buying his books, my wife included. My wife was one who would occasionally, watch his videos and share videos with me. She would say that she loves Charlie Kirk, but now she's, I'm coming home and all these books are there that I didn't have before, and she's already read through them in the days before I was able to get home. So I think this is firing up the conservative movement like none other, especially on college campuses. We saw just the other day I think the University of Florida had a huge tribute to him, say his name, Charlie Kirk. And I think that you're going to see a lot more of that through college campuses in America.
Is it beyond partisan politics at this point? I mean, is this bigger than that?
I absolutely 100%. I believe, people like myself, Congressman Anders, saying that for what he stood for how he went about it, that Charlie Kirk should be a martyr. He brought more people, and it's not just the college campus political speeches that he did. This is a civil rights thing where he would allow Democrats to come onto his stage, and he would quiet everybody and give them the same respect to share their viewpoints. And then he would, obliterate him with his facts and statistics, but he was going in to churches as well, encouraging more men to get married, to have kids, to stay with their spouses, to stop drinking, to turn away from drugs. And so many, he kind of shined the spotlight at a young age. The guy was only 31 years old and accomplished more in his short life than many people did in their entire lives.
Yeah, which by context is really sobering to me because I've got a son who's 29.
Yeah.
That's just mind-boggling to me. We're visiting with State Senator Nick Schroer. Let's talk a little bit about the session and how it sets things up for the next regular session here. Starting with the redistricting maps, obviously this has been a priority for a while. So what was it that kickstarted everything to get this done so quickly? And then obviously with you being an attorney, I'll follow up the question I'll tell you right now is what do you make of the in progress lawsuits and likely lawsuits that are going to come from this? Was it just a matter of the president basically gave the marching orders, so get it done this time? Or was there anything else that added to getting the maps done when you boil it down, it was just a matter of days that it got done?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a three-headed effect, so to speak. I don't want to say a three-headed monster, but if that's what the Republicans are turning into with this dark MAGA energy coming out now, I think number one was Donald J. Trump, new leadership in the White House, who was able to zero in states like Texas and Indiana and Missouri and several others, saying, look, you guys are leaving meat on the bone here. The way that we were bending the knee on the former map, bending the knee to stop a filibuster, and we gave a seat to the Democrats. Look, I don't care, if you're anti-gerrymandering or not. There were communities like St. Charles County, Warren County, Boone County, many of these big counties in the state of Missouri that were cut in half to appease the Democrats, and that's just plain wrong. Number two, I think it's, the Freedom Caucus's impact from having Congressman Onder now talking to the media in D.C., talking to the president. We've got Will Scharf. We've got the Alex Meyer in the Trump administration, big friends of the Missouri Freedom Caucus, and then the Missouri Freedom Caucus stepping out saying, guys, if we don't get this done this year, if we don't get this done in this special session, we're going to take up a lot of time next year trying to find a resolution to this, given what was being collected right now, the ballot signatures being collected for all of these terrible initiatives. And I think number three, it's just a change in leadership across the state of Missouri. Have a brand new governor, Mike Kehoe, have brand new leadership in the House and in the Senate, and all of them collectively working together is showing people what can happen with a super majority Republican Party that's not trying to appease the Democrats, but rather trying to work for the people.
All right. And also internally, and this is a little bit in the weeds, but, one of the things in the last election that I think was one of the best outcomes is we avoided the disaster of Lincoln Huff being the lieutenant governor. And he's now paying the price for some of his antics. He's now lost a major leadership position in the committee. I don't want to go too far in the weeds and be all wonky, but basically you've got, possibly the worst Republican in the entire legislature who's kind of bitching and moaning about, not being able to basically not being able to play the way he wants to play in the sandbox.
It's crazy how when the Freedom Caucus started out and we were penalized and committee chairmanships were taken away, parking spots were taken away, I didn't hear anybody bitching now who stood up for us saying, well, wait a second, losing chairmanships is bad. But it was the worst kept secret in the state of Missouri. There were a lot of people who thought he was going to be the lieutenant governor. And I think Cindy O'Loughlin, the leader of the Senate, President Pro Tem, she was making other plans. And when he came back, she said, hey, I'll give you another year, but we're going in a different direction. We're going to have somebody knowing that all of these federal funds are going away. We're going to have to cut spending. We're going to have to find new sources of revenue. So we all kind of knew that. And I don't know why some people are making a big fuss about something that was known for at least a year.
All right. We're visiting with State Senator Nick Schroer. All right. Initiative petition reform. There's, obviously this is going to be, I think one of the biggest challenges because voters still have to sign off on this. And if we thought that we saw some big money thrown in on some of the past constitutional amendment debates, that's probably nothing compared to what we're going to deal with in 2026. What's your assessment of the plan that was made? Because there's about a million ways that you could have gone with initiative petition reform. Exactly. But does this do enough to protect the state constitution from being basically just a plaything for the special interest while still allowing legitimate referendums to amend the state constitution.
Well, you're 100% correct. There, I think, have been probably a million different versions of initiative petition reform, from increasing the amount of signatures you need, increasing the areas that you need to collect signatures, to increasing the passage rate like we see in some states like Texas and others. Well, looking at a lot of the polling over the time that we've done this, Senator Schnelting, another member of the Freedom Caucus in St. Charles County, he was tasked with going to meet with leadership in the House, leadership in the Senate, the governor's office. This guy was working behind the scenes, working his tail off to figure out, okay, what can you guys at least agree to? What is actually going to solve the problem, and what is going to pass? And I think this actually hits a sweet spot. I filed a ton of different versions on how to address this. We've dealt with many different versions in the House and in the Senate that we've voted on in the past. But I think this one ultimately is increasing. Like, Democrats always talk about democracy and having more voices heard from different and diverse areas. So if they're all down for that, they're going to love this, because it not only is getting rid of the fact that, St. Louis and Kansas City were the only ones stepping up to get marijuana, bingo, clean Missouri, Medicaid expansion, all of these things put into the Constitution. But now we're increasing it to rural parts, suburban parts, and it's got to get a majority in all of the congressional districts. And I know I've heard a lot of people saying, well, then nothing's going to pass. Well, things have passed in the past. And if you can go back and look at some of these ballot initiatives that did get a majority in all of the congressional districts, and those are the types of things that, you know what, I'll sit back and say, yeah, they deserve to be in our Constitution if they can get the support of the majority of every single person in these congressional districts, all of these diverse voices in Southern Missouri, Northern Missouri, urban, suburban, you name it, rural. So, yeah, I do think that it's going to handcuff these special interest groups, because there's a provision in there that says all of these out-of-state donors that are trying to influence and pay for these ballot initiatives, whether they're from California, whether they're from New York or Michael Bloomberg, or from Switzerland, like this Hans Weiss guy, who donated almost $4 million to the 1630 fund in support of Amendment 3 to change our Constitution. There's a provision in there that will ban out-of-state donations for these things. But there are a couple other provisions that I really think are going to educate the public. There's a comment period, something that we do in the Missouri legislature when a bill comes through or an initiative comes through. It's vetted several times in the House, then on the House floor, several times in the Senate, then the Senate floor, sometimes even in a conference committee where more people get together to fine tune these things. But that's something that you don't see with these ballot initiatives. They get passed, and then we're stuck with the poor wording or poor versions that didn't take into consider a lot of other things that we have to put back on the ballot to fix. And lastly, I think there's a provision in there that's going to ensure that voters have the ability to look at all of the language that's going to go into the Constitution, and not just walk by at a Target or a Walgreens and say, what does this thing do? Oh, here's the ballot initiative summary that's about 2 sentences long that's going to appear on the ballot. No, we want to see the entire thing. So this is going to mandate that the entirety of the ballot provision going into the Constitution has to be made public and has to be made available to each signature before they're going to leave the premises.
All right. One quick question regarding kind of the vibe now of the Republicans in Jeff City. Now you all have seen it. You made a goal. Yep. You stuck with it. You steamrolled the Democrats. They were irrelevant to the process, as they should have been. Is there any hope that carries over so that more conservative stuff gets done in the next special session, or not the special in the regular session? Yeah.
I hope so. If we're going to have another special session, let's get rid of personal property taxes. Yeah. Let's get rid of income tax. There are paths there, but I don't think we're going to have another special session. But yeah, for the regular session, as long as Republicans stick together, keep communicating, and remember our party platform. Remember why people voted for us. When you get in this echo chamber in Jefferson City, you hear from lobbyists, you hear from special interest groups that are, this is too controversial. No, this is what people voted for us to deal with. But I will tell you, the Democrats shot themselves in the foot from all the name calling, all the smearing. Leadership, Cindy O'Loughlin and Tony Lukemeyer, I know on the Senate side, did a great job of going to the Democrats saying, hey, is there any way that we can negotiate? They went to the negotiating table and they got spit in the face by the Democrats saying, nope, you're going to have to bowl over us. And that's exactly what we did. We said, look, if you're going to filibuster the journal, introduction of special guests, you're going to introduce or filibuster the rules. Well, we're going to change the rules, same exact rules. We're just changing the exact the process of when we take in messages from the House, which used to be at the end, and now it's at the beginning. So we use the rules to our advantage. I know the Democrats are saying we cheated. We didn't, we're going to find out that this was entirely constitutional, that all of these rules were the same. They just kind of moved around a couple of them. And this is what happens when Democrats go fully off the rails.
Yeah, well, when you are a super minority, you've got to look at where the leverage is, and they just don't have it right now. And unless you give it to them, they don't have any say what's going on.
Yeah, I got to give it to Republicans for so many years. They've kept bending the knee and bending the knee and bending the knee. And finally, we're saying enough. Enough is enough. If you've got an idea that makes sense for voters, if you want to play by the rules, if you want to come and actually debate on the Senate floor, and that's what a lot of the Republicans, including myself, I kept telling the Democrats, call on me, especially after Charlie Kirk was shot and assassinated while we were in the Senate. I said, guys, call on me. If you want to honor Charlie Kirk like you say you are on the floor, and I know that's not true, but debate me. Honest debate. Let's talk about these issues rather than you sitting up here calling Donald Trump a pedophile, calling Republicans criminals for protecting. This is nonsense. And instead of debating, they just wanted to kick and scream like the children that they were. And, unfortunately, sometimes children have to be dealt with and put in the corner. And that's what the Republicans, the Missouri Freedom Caucus did this year.
All right, got some thoughts on any of that? Let me know. Send me a note on social media, or always give me a call, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
The Vic Borselli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, what would this have been? Mid-90s.
Yeah.
And I was I worked at Grant's Farm, and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Borselli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
They came from every corner of the country, from small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines, a tough and determined few dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still, they come. Celebrate the history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
This is my statement and my advice. This is where I'm going to start a few things. Don't become what you say you hate.
Good advice.
Don't become what you say you hate. Don't fall into the trap of they do it, so we'll do it because we won.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm probably going to get myself in trouble again today, but I think we have to step back and go, hey, guys, there are nuances. There are levels. There are times to push back, and there are times to say that's too much.
Yeah, it's really hard to come out looking like you've won the moral high ground if you engage in hypocrisy.
Right. Okay. So are we ready for some nuance when it comes to freedom of speech, especially when we're talking about what the legacy is going to be of Charlie Kirk. Okay. Because our attorney general has gone complete authoritarian.
Wow.
I'll just say it that way. She has gone complete authority. Remember, I wasn't wild about her as a pick to start with because she's very, very bad on the Second Amendment.
Yeah, she likes red flag.
She likes red flag laws. She thinks, there should be government pre-intervention. She's not. She's just not a second. So that was my concern with her. But she was on a podcast with Katie Miller. Katie Miller is Stephen Miller's wife, and she does a video podcast thing. And so they were talking about all of the horrible things people are saying about Charlie Kirk. Okay. Where they were not, for context, talking about, the violence. They weren't talking about tearing things down. They weren't talking, those things, I think we agree. You don't get to physically cause violence or enact violence. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about saying gross, disgusting things. And here is the question, or here's the exchange between Katie Miller and our Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And we're going to go into a lot more depth on this in a little bit. I'm going to let everybody have a little bit of coffee first and get going. I want the mental juices kind of flowing here. But here's the basis of what you're probably going to be seeing on social media all day long today.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Okay, this is so unconstitutional and authoritarian. This is precisely what we fight against as conservatives. And listen, especially libertarians, and but this is what we say we hate. This is what we say that we fight against because we fear. Her exact words: if you say things we don't like, I'm getting the meaning. We're going to use the force of government to show you that we won't allow that to happen. That is beyond the pale. And by the way, that is completely antithetical to what Charlie Kirk built his career on.
Quite literally. That wasn't that one of Kamala Harris's running things. We need to hold people accountable for hate speech. There's no room for hate speech in the U.S. And the entirety of the right was like, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. The guy who literally, part of the reason why people hate him is because he quote unquote spread hate speech.
Yeah.
You want to go out there and act like Kamala Harris over that in quote unquote honor of the person that went around saying, no, bring your hate speech to me and let's talk about it.
You own a business and you say something that's offensive, you risk people saying, I'm going to spend my money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the free market.
Yes.
This is talking about the Attorney General of the United States threatening to use the force of government. Katie Miller asked about putting cuffs on people, if you listen to the actual words, and the Attorney General of the United States said there's free speech and then there's hate speech. No, hate speech is free speech, even if it's gross and disgusting.
Yes, it is quite literally that simple. There are only a few things you can't actually say. Most of them involve actual violence, which would be assault, I believe, verbal assault. So,
well, verbal assault's not a thing, but provoking violence.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. To incite violence.
Yeah. You
just
can't
say,
threaten people.
Dude, look what they're doing. Go get him. Go get him. Go get him. Get him. Get him. Go, 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 go. That's not free speech.
No, that's called, that's not protected.
Inciting violence. Right.
But saying, oh, I'm very glad something horrible and horrific happened. That is protected speech.
It's disgusting.
Saying I hate blah, blah, blah. That is protected speech.
It may make you a jerk, but as we react to the disgusting reaction of the left regarding Charlie Kirk, don't become the left.
Yes.
I really wanted to wait for a while before I started critiquing because I think we're devolving into a witch hunt mindset right now. We're not critically thinking. And what's happening right now in the emotional response to defend what Charlie Kirk did with his career and as his legacy is going to be set into motion, don't become what he fought against if you're a big Charlie Kirk fan. And I'm just saying right now that the fact that our attorney general has said we are going to target hate speech, there's free speech and there's hate speech, this disqualifies her from being the attorney general of the United States.
Yes.
She should not be in that role. She was a bad pick to start with, which is what I said at the beginning. And now at this point, I believe she has constitutionally disqualified herself from being in a presidential administration.
I could not agree more. And if this constitutes hate speech,
well, come get me, Pam.
Yeah,
come get me, Pam. Let's do it.
Big things always happening at The Hideout. Tim Jones here with a reminder. The Hideout is famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music, special events, and of course, the food. The Hideout in High Ridge features the best handcrafted burgers around, the signature Sunset Dip, Dave's Delicious Chili. See for yourself why The Hideout is the stop for lunch, dinner, or their famous happy hour on the Sunset Patio. Check it all out. HideoutSportsBar.com, Hideout Sports Bar on Facebook. See it for yourself, 3367 High Ridge Boulevard. I'll see you at The Hideout.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you are ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with this free call. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Gaza City being rocked by thunderous explosion.
The Israeli military has announced its operation in Gaza City to destroy Hamas's military infrastructure is now in gear and warns residents to move south. The announcement follows a night of heavy strikes against northern Gaza that killed at least 20 people. Israel's been warning Gaza City residents to evacuate for the past month ahead of the operation, but many have said they're unable to evacuate due to overcrowding in Gaza South and the high price of transport. Also on Tuesday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio left Israel to go to Qatar, where he meets with its ruling emir as the nation still incensed over Israel's strike on Hamas last week. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Israel calls a UN report accusing it of genocide in Gaza distorted and false. Capital murder and other charges to be lodged against Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old man accused of assassinating Charlie Kirk, set to appear virtually today in Utah State Court, his first court appearance. President Trump says the U.S. military is blowing up another drug-running boat in international waters off Venezuela. And at the president's direction, National Guard troops heading to Memphis on a crime-fighting mission. President Trump is urging congressional Republicans to pass a temporary spending bill averting a government shutdown at month's end.
Democratic leaders on Capitol Hill say they're willing to shut down the government in order to save cuts to health care funding. At the White House, the president is telling Republicans to stick together. He writes on social media that GOP lawmakers must fight back against what he calls radical left Democrat demands.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston. As the Fed begins a two-day meeting on interest rates, federal appeals court has blocked President Trump from firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook. On Wall Street, the Dow down 10 points, NASDAQ up 75. More on these stories at townhall.com.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Mom, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotion. A few seconds later, my mother said, oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. Consequently, they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Dial pound 250 and say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk, everything you need and nothing you don't.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer temperatures hanging on out there. Lots of sunshine today, another hot one up to 93 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff, looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one you will remember. Gulf Shores, restaurantandgrill.com.
We talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity. And I'm sick and tired of it.
1019 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
When they say it like that, you know they mean business.
Gabe Phifer.
He has great hair.
Get up, St. Louis.
You're not talking to Bambi's baby brother here.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, guys, is St. Louis the next to become a militarized police zone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we're on the docket.
We're
apparently.
on the list. We're on the list. Yep. And leftists are fired up about a possible resolution to honor Charlie Kirk in St. Louis County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we're going to come back to this because we're getting a lot of responses on this. America's Attorney General wants to punish people who say things she doesn't like.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No, and here's the thing: is we can be tribal and say, well, we got to support our side, or from the right, we can stick to our principles and say we have been fighting for free speech when the left threatened to use things like quote unquote hate speech to violate free speech. So we fought against it when the left did it. We need to fight against it when somebody in the right does it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very displeased with the Dems right now. Please don't make me have to defend them.
No, precisely. 6:06 right now. Let's get started with the news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they get all the news.
The morning news dump.
I'm just saying it's a bizarre reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination to say we got to crack down on speech.
Yeah, really.
That's so beyond. Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit, though. All right, is St. Louis the next city to become a military police state? President Trump in the Oval Office says he is considering sending federalized National Guard troops here. Uh-oh, you got it? All right, now we're on.
We got to save St. Louis. We got to save these cities. This isn't like, we're going to do something. We have to save St. Louis. We have to save Chicago.
Okay, St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy tells Fox 2 that they have not had any discussions with the White House over a possible deployment.
No, we haven't had those conversations. There have been very brief conversations with the governor's office, but that is limited to, hey, have you heard anything?
Okay, so the president has not indicated any timetable for making a decision on sending the military into St. Louis.
Yeah, see, these unilateral sort of announcements that he's been doing, particularly with the deployment of the National Guard, it's disturbing. Because at the very least, at least have a conversation with a governor or two before you start saying stuff like this.
Yeah, precisely. Because President Trump now saying you're going to send him into Memphis. It looks like his effort to do that in Chicago has been sort of defeated. And so the bottom line is that the president doesn't have the constitutional authority to do this. This is going to be tied up in court. We do not want a military police state. Sending in the troops to guard federal assets, federal property, to back up federal law enforcement is one thing.
That's fine.
But to say we're going to replace your local police with the military is a different thing. If Governor Kehoe does not activate the Guard and oversee it himself, then it's not constitutional.
Right.
It's just the way that it is. Because remember, President Trump has about 3 years left in his presidency. Somebody else is going to have whatever power the presidency assumes after this.
And it's a coin toss that it's going to be a leftist.
Yeah, it could absolutely be a Gavin Newsom or J.B. Pritzker or somebody like that. Do you want to give the presidency that sort of unilateral power for later on? Think here. Okay. The 22-year-old man who is accused of shooting Charlie Kirk is obviously still in custody, but he's not cooperating with authorities at last check. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino was on Fox America's Newsroom saying the agency is now working to find out if the attacker had any enablers or even assistants.
Whether it's OSINT, open source intel through social media that people posted publicly, we'll be looking at that. We'll also be dropping a lot of paper, a lot of subpoenas out there to take a look to see if there was any extended network.
Now, the suspect in the case, Tyler Robinson, is set to appear in court today. He faces aggravated murder and other felony charges in Utah, and the federal government, Todd Blanche, for instance, has said that they are looking at ways to file federal charges as well. Although nothing has been filed from the federal level, it is possible that could still happen. All right. The St. Louis County Council is going to consider a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk at this evening's meeting. Councilman Mark Harder put that on the agenda. The meeting starts at 6:30. It is open to the public, and leftists throughout the St. Louis region are fired up.
Losing their minds.
They are losing their stuff over the idea that there could be a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk. I am telling you, that place is going to have a whole bunch of purple-haired nose rings throwing a fit about honoring Charlie Kirk. I talked to Mark Harder last night. He is hoping that there are going to be plenty of people who come out to defend the idea and show some balance at least. But we're going to talk to Mark in less than an hour, right around 7:05. All right. Vice President J.D. Vance hosted the Charlie Kirk podcast following that assassination, obviously. The vice president, who was close friends with Charlie Kirk, urging listeners to carry on his legacy.
I can't promise you this is going to be easy. I can't promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. I can't promise you that I will avoid Charlie's fate. But the best way to honor him is to shine the light of truth like a torch in the very darkest places. Go do it. We owe it to our friend to ensure that his killer is not just prosecuted, but punished. And the worst punishment is not the death penalty, but the knowledge that Charlie's mission continues after he's gone.
And the governor of Utah says that they are planning to pursue the death penalty against Tyler Robinson, and that remains to be seen whether capital punishment charges are going to be filed. But that's what their intent is.
Right, that's definitely on the table.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue, with that. I've got very, very mixed feelings on the death penalty itself. I think that I'm
not as a concept, but as a power of the government.
As I don't trust our current government to 100% of the time get it right, but this is a pretty clear-cut case on this. So I don't want to get into the death penalty discussion, but it looks like that's definitely on the table. Okay, in about a month and a half, Missourians are going to have to verify their age to see dirty websites. Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to require some things that I might not like, though.
Yeah. So new rules go into effect November 30th that are going to require adult websites to verify age of all users when they are in the state and looking at the stuff. And the websites are going to they're going to be required to be able to prove that all users are adults. Attorney General Catherine Hanaway says website businesses that fail to do so will face civil action and penalties, which the only way I can think of that you would be able to do that is they are going to have to record your ID, some sort of identification that you're using those websites.
And that's the part of it that I don't like. Like, for in terms of the philosophical idea that our society should protect young people from this stuff. Yes, absolutely. We back in the day, Blockbuster had the curtain behind and you couldn't, if you're under 18, you can't go behind the curtain and get those movies.
Right.
And I believe in that as a concept. The problem is when we get to the online space and then we start asking these various gigantic corporations to start collecting people's IDs, that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, we already know that for some reason minorities have a problem getting voter IDs.
Right,
So let alone now we're trying to stop them from seeing stuff. No, but I know we're very pro free market, but I don't necessarily, as long as it only stays to smut sites, just like you would, like you were saying, at smut shops in real life.
Oh yeah,
which I guarantee it's not going to just stay there. But I don't see that as a necessarily a bad thing because you can't just walk in and get
you're
dirty
basically
magazine.
getting carded. The difference is that if you see it in person, you show the ID. They're like, "Oh, okay, that says you're," and then they don't record it.
Right, and and that's the difference. It's basically what's going to have to happen digitally is all of these people are going to go on a list. There's going to develop a technological ecosystem around collecting IDs online, and it will not. I tell you this now, it will not stop with this
There's going to be a lot of adults who are getting fake IDs.
Well,
I'm just saying, there's going to be a lot of adults who get fake IDs.
But I think about it this way. The reason that we had VHS cassettes instead of beta cassettes is because of the porn industry.
Yeah, that's right.
They chose the VHS format over the beta format, and that changed the entire industry of home video in America. The power. I mean, I hate that they have this power, but we need to recognize the power of the porn industry in America. And so if we start doing something over there, it's definitely going to bleed into the rest of our lives.
If it bothers you that they have that much power, well, stop looking at porn. Just don't. All right. Okay. The Cardinals came from behind and took the lead.
Okay.
Then they lost the lead.
But
then they tied it back up.
Okay.
And then they lost again.
Come on, guys.
Final score at Busch Stadium last night was Cardinals 6, Reds 11. Second game of that series is this evening at 6:45.
Make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit connorroofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, St. Louis golfers, looking for a new golfing experience? Sugar Creek Golf Course was voted the most popular golf course in St. Louis. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com and join the fastest growing golf community in town, sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. Free speech means free speech.
It should.
Okay. But America's attorney general seems to be buying into leftist nonsense about hate speech. So here's what I'm asking people to do. Be willing to challenge your own notions about our side and their side. This is about what's true and what's constitutional, regardless of where it comes from. Yes, some people should be disqualified from certain jobs when they celebrate death of people with whom they disagree.
Yes.
We've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, those who are nurses and doctors who are celebrating a death, that violates your Hippocratic oath.
It does.
That tells us you're unethical and you cannot be trusted with a human life.
Yeah.
If you devalue that life.
If there's a category of people that you believe should be dead,
right,
you shouldn't be in healthcare.
You give that up. If you are in education, particularly around children, and you celebrate that, you have shown that you do not have the ethics or the character to be allowed to do that.
Right.
Okay. That's not a freedom of speech issue. That is a qualification issue. If you are, if you are the barback somewhere, and you say something gross and celebrate somebody's death, you're still probably qualified to be a barback, but your business may or may not want you on the team.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That's not a governmental issue. That's not a licensure issue. That's a free market issue here. So
free association.
Yeah. People are free to say gross things.
Sure.
There are consequences in a free marketplace. So is Attorney General Pam Bondi going authoritarian and basically spitting on the Constitution right now?
Right. Because once you add the element of government power to the situation, it takes a different turn.
Yeah, I'm going to play a couple clips. So there's a new podcast that's like a video podcast from Katie Miller, who is Stephen Miller's wife. The was the deputy chief of staff, I think is what he is. But his wife does this podcast. I don't know what it's called. I just know it's Katie Miller's podcast here. And so she's talking about all the horrible, disgusting things people are saying, celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. And so here's that exchange. And this is one of two clips I'm going to play from Pam Bondi. So here's the Attorney General of the United States.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Okay, so remember, she's not talking about trying to get you killed. She's talking about saying things we don't like.
Yeah, I don't. Well, first of all, the concept of hate speech
yes
was brought up and kind of popularized by leftists to begin with.
Isn't that a leftist thing?
Why are we even using their language? Like, if you mean something different, say something different. But if you're just simply adopting the left's concept of their speech that we don't like and we find hateful, and therefore we're going to police it, you're doing exactly what we don't want to do.
Yeah, I mean, haven't conservatives, especially Charlie Kirk, been arguing for years that hate speech isn't real?
Right.
It's just free speech that decent people find offensive.
Right.
I mean, Charlie Kirk made that argument.
There are so many clips of Charlie Kirk talking about the deprivations and the problems with the concept of hate speech entering the government.
Okay, so Pam Bondi was also on Hannity on Fox last night, and she's talking about businesses who have people working for them who say hateful things. And here's part of what she said. Remember that situation was at like Home Depot, or not Home Depot, but like Office Depot or Office Max or one of those, where the workers wouldn't print up the flyers for a vigil. And so they're talking about that sort of thing. And here's the Attorney General of the United States.
That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that. But Sean,
Okay, so
oh boy.
In other words,
oh boy,
bake the cake.
Yeah.
Make the website.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It is the same thing.
This is the chief law enforcement officer in this country saying, your business chose not to take that. We're going to go after you. When we have conservatives who have been fighting the cake baking case and the website making case for the simple assumption that you have the right or to choose or not to choose any sort of business. Now, do I think those idiots at Office, whatever it was, would I have fired them? Hell yeah, I would have fired them. I would have fired them for
treating customers
that way. But this is now the right, somebody on the right taking the leftist talking points and basically saying, but we're in charge now, so we're the ones who are going to violate your rights.
Right.
You're not violating just one side or the other. You're violating the First Amendment and freedom of speech.
Two things real quick. I think there might be a slight distinction with the whole printing thing, because it isn't a creative work necessarily in the same way as the website and the cakes and stuff. So it's just like, here, put this on the machine and hit the button. I think that might fall into public accommodation sort of protections. But beyond that, I think the idea of simply taking the reins of being the arbiters of what is and isn't hate speech is not the solution to the problems that we have with the way the left views hate speech, right? Because that was actually part of the argument. When we were having the anti concept of hate speech arguments with people on the left, we were like, well, the issue isn't whether or not things are hateful or whatnot. It's about who is deciding, who decides what hate speech is,
right?
And therefore, can use the levers of government against you. And of course, we don't want anybody to have that power. Therefore, we shouldn't have these hate speech laws. That was the argument that we had when the left was pushing this stuff. Now, somebody on the right is pushing this stuff. Guess what, guys? The argument hasn't changed.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that the founding fathers did was they said, hey, we're going to not only let people talk as much smack as they want to talk, but we're also going to give them guns, right? But there are countries out there, such as the UK, for example, where if you say mean things online, then
they'll arrest you.
They will arrest you. Is that, if you want to be UK that badly, just go to UK, go to Canada, where they have similar kind of laws. I mean, I don't get it.
Here's the bottom line, is that what Pam Bondi is using government to do is unconstitutional.
Yes.
It is authoritarianism.
Yes.
This disqualifies Pam Bondi from being Attorney General or serving in any government position. She should resign or be fired. She should not be the Attorney General of the United States.
This impulse is indicative of an idea that she's not really a conservative. She's not. You know, I can't fathom the idea of a conservative person rising through the ranks to get to to that position and still holding the idea that hate speech laws are okay so long as we're the ones deciding what hate speech is.
Right.
I don't get that.
You fight bad speech with true speech.
Yeah.
You don't fight it with government force. And here's the thing.
And it's so weird because Charlie argued that exact point.
Yeah, and they're saying
and they're
to
doing this in
honor
his
Charlie
name.
Kirk, we're going to use government to shut you up. That is completely antithetical. And here's the thing. If we are going to stop this trend in our country, we have to do it on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to somebody on the right arguing for the violation of the First Amendment, we cannot wait for the left to say something.
Right.
We have to be the ones to do the right thing and point within and say, we will not tolerate you violating our speech. Now, remember, she's not talking about people who were trying to incite and coordinate violent crime.
Right.
She was talking about people who said hateful things.
Mm-hmm.
The thing, the name calling, even somebody saying something as gross as "I'm glad he's dead,"
right?
Or even saying "I hope it happens to other people." Now, arguing that, "Hey, let's get together. I'm going to try to convince you to go kill somebody." That's a different thing.
Yeah, or saying to a specific person, "You were next."
Yeah. That's not what we're talking about,
right?
But the disgusting celebratory comments.
Mm-hmm. And we've seen them all over.
And we're going to keep seeing. We're going to hear them tonight at the St. Louis County Council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Those are gross and disgusting, but the protection of free speech is easy when people are saying things that we like.
Right.
Hey, we wish the Cardinals would do better. How about those Chiefs? Go USA. That's free speech. That's easy to defend.
Mm-hmm.
My college is the best ever. That's easy to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible people saying horrible opinions is hard to defend. But if you say you value freedom of speech, you have to defend the right to awful speech, because that's the only way we're going to be able to protect our speech.
Right.
My God is the true God. My faith is the true faith. That's freedom of speech.
Right.
Your faith sucks.
Also,
is freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
It may be mean and hateful, but it's freedom of speech. And if we don't defend the worst of speech, now again, I'm not talking about trying to incite violence. They're two different things. We've got to be able to think critically and think with nuance right now. And right now, there's a lot, unfortunately, of us who are about to stomp all over the legacy of the man you're celebrating by going to the core and to the heart of what he built his legacy on and destroying it because people are saying things. Charlie Kirk engaged with more speech and better speech. Now we have an administration saying we're going to punish speech because we don't like it.
Yeah, over the weekend, I just want to reiterate, over the weekend, I literally lost people for saying, if you're worried about what happened to Charlie Kirk happening to you, maybe you should watch what you say.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't want those people arrested. I don't want them in my life anymore, obviously, but I don't want them arrested. And that's their right to say that. It's despicable and gross as it is.
Yeah. And by the way, real quick, DMCCB on Rumble says, I had this epiphany this week as well. It's heavy, but we must be better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Now, they lost in the special session, but the left isn't giving up on the fight against redistricting. They've got lawsuits coming out, so we're going to talk about that at 6:35.
I can't take the way you do, but it's still inside me.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we cover every angle of all the important news stories and issues you need to know about.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer temperatures hanging on out there. Lots of sunshine today, another hot one, up to 93 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans, and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The All Things Basement Tea experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry up that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
Don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Hey, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
From the heart of Missouri, straight to your favorite St. Louis shelves. Discover Stowlock Ozark Highlands Whiskey and Inversion Vodka. Crafted 100% in Missouri's Ozark Highlands with unmatched smoothness and bold, refined flavor. Want to win a bottle? Visit stoneledgedistillery.com/win and register today. Stowlock Whiskey, Inversion Vodka. Proudly made in Missouri. Poured wherever quality matters.
News, analysis, opinion. Historic meeting between European leaders, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump.
We want to stop the killing, get this settled.
1019 and 94.1.
We all want peace.
News Talk STL.
What do you see?
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the battle over the new congressional district lines, not over. The left has got a unique strategy that we need to be aware of on this, because you actually could have a hand in deciding the outcome on this. I'll explain that in just a minute. Okay, just real quick, guys. I don't want to spend like the whole segment on this or anything. I don't want to beat up too much on the DOJ, but I want to get your reaction to something here. Okay. Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, taking some heat for what some say, claiming success in the Charlie Kirk murder investigation that he actually did not accomplish.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we were kind of talking about this.
Yeah, exactly. Because at one point he posted, we got him. It turns out that he was talking about, a detainment that happened. And so he was on Fox and Friends. I was being questioned about this, and they were pretty blunt in their questions for him. So here's how that part of the conversation actually went.
So in the 24 hours after, when we were still looking for the guy, I know you posted that we got him. And that ended up not being true. You took some incoming because of that. What led to you posting that? Why did you feel so certain about it? And what do you have to say about the criticism?
No, I appreciate this opportunity. Look, as I stated, I was being transparent with working with the public on our findings as I had them. I stated in that message that we had a subject and that we were going to interview him, and we did, and he was released. The job of the FBI is not just to manhunt the actual suspect who did the killing or suspects, but it's also to eliminate targets and eliminate subjects who are not involved in the process, and that's what we were doing. Could I have worded it a little better in the heat of the moment? Sure. But do I regret putting it out? Absolutely not. I was telling the world what the FBI was doing as we were doing, and I'm continuing to do that. And I challenge anyone out there to find a director that has been more transparent and more willing to work the media on high-profile cases or any case the FBI is handling.
Okay, so I like transparency.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are aspects of the quote-unquote transparency that don't work, especially when we're talking about ongoing investigations in ongoing cases. Like there's a reason why you don't get a play-by-play, or you shouldn't get a play-by-play from certain government agencies.
Right.
And I don't think the FBI is one of those where we should be looking for play-by-play.
Yeah, and he's listing out, here's the evidence we got, here's the evidence we got, here's the evidence we got. I'm not sure that you want to do that going into a high-profile criminal.
You do not.
Trial. I mean, but there's got to be a balance between transparency and not. I appreciate his effort for transparency, but I'm starting to think he might be in over his head.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Feeling
By the
that
way,
way.
did you see that The Onion did a?
Oh no.
Kash Patel asks assassins' family to help them solve more cases.
Okay, that's solid.
That's
a solid hit right there. All right,
wow.
the Onions has fallen off, is overtaken by the Babylon Bee very much so. But occasionally they'll still get one.
Yeah,
that's one.
The Onion generally has stopped being funny, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Just like Saturday Night Live, they stop being funny, but every once in a while
they hit one.
Get one.
When we were watching the press conference, that's kind of what was going on in my head. Was imagine the family off to the side, like, have you said thank you once?
Exactly. They turned him in and he turned himself in and brought him in. All right, what we got?
We have our good friend Dave, who has a few thoughts on the way government's behaving.
Okay, Dave, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning. Hey, the last time I watched Saturday Night Live on purpose when Eddie Murphy was on there, and I was introduced to Piggo. But that's not why I called. Is there a logical, rational formula to draw up congressional lines, or does it doesn't make a difference which party's in charge? Not a boo-boo. We're going to shove it down your throat, and that's all there is to it. There has to be a formula that would make sense, other than both sides acting like a bunch of babies.
I completely agree with what you said. Is there a formula? No, it is to the victors go the spoils.
Yeah.
And what you're describing as far as both sides becoming basically babies, and that's exactly what's happening, and it's going to get worse.
Oh, for the love of God. Okay.
Yeah.
Here,
Sorry.
I'm going to endorse violence. Hold on, let me finish. What we do with this violence, it's going to be controlled. We're going to go in the boxing ring, or we're going to go in an MMA ring, and we'll slug it out like gentlemen, and whoever wins, okay, then you're in charge. I know that makes too much logical sense for both sides because they have the functional IQ of a wet rock.
I like my chances against most liberal guys I've seen.
Yeah, actually,
leftist guys.
I think
like my chances.
That would work out well for us.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, Mike got in great shape.
You unfortunately reaffirmed what I thought, that both sides suck.
Yeah. That's it.
That's pretty much it.
Dave, thanks so much. Okay, so let me follow up on what Dave just said regarding these congressional district lines. So we already know about the lawsuits. Okay?
Right.
We already
three
knew,
of them.
There's three now that we know. The NAACP is doing one. I think the ACLU, is doing
probably
one. And so, but here's the thing, and I saw a couple of news stories on this. There's a new group that's being assembled, and basically it's being assembled by the various leftist groups, left-wing groups around Missouri. And so what they're doing is they are launching their own referendum, their own initiative petition to put the maps on the ballot as a referendum, not as a constitutional amendment, but just as a referendum. So according to these reports, assuming that they are correct in as far as the legal steps, here's where it's at. If this group, which is calling itself People Not Politicians, and so if they get, okay, let me back up. If and when the governor signs the new maps into place, which he has said he's going to do, they become the new congressional districts as of December 11th for the next election. So, all the current Congress critters, serve where they're at right now, but that becomes the new district effective for the next election in 2026. Okay. So if this group gets the 100,000 valid signatures that they are required to have to put this on the ballot as a referendum, that pauses the new congressional districts.
Oh, wow. Immediately.
It pauses them at least until the November elections, where it would then be decided by the voters. Okay. So the voters could accept the new districts or the voters could reject it. But here's the thing. even if the voters accept it,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't take effect until 2028 at that point.
Wow.
So Republicans would not get the freebie additional seat in Congress.
Mm-hmm.
So if voters obviously reject the maps, then the maps stay exactly the way that they are until after the next census.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen is that the petitioners are going to be out, and they're going to say whatever they're going to say. But if you support the new maps and you want the 7-1 map and you want to sort of gerrymander it to make sure that, not sort of, if you want to gerrymander to make sure Republicans get another seat in Congress, then you don't want to sign this petition.
Yeah, because
right.
The concept being that basically if this petition gets on a ballot anywhere, we've lost the immediate victory of the new maps.
Right. Because the voters could say, no, we want the 7-1 map, but then you don't get the 7-1 map until the 2028 election.
It forces the implementation all the way back there. So yeah, so this is basically the only way to win is not to play situation, a la war games from 1980 something.
Now, if you're fine with the maps the way that they are, then I mean you can sign it. I mean that's entirely up to you.
Sure.
But the bottom line is
but you got to understand what you're getting into with this.
Right. Because and again, I want to stress we're not talking a constitutional amendment here.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about an actual referendum.
Right.
So 50% plus one decides the fate of those maps. Now, they have less than 3 months to get 100,000 signatures.
So they've got a tough lift here.
They've got a very heavy lift.
But we don't want to help them at all. So
yeah, I mean, it's just depending on, I mean, I am completely agnostic on this. I mean, who the funny part is, who I think has been the most honest through all of this has been Nick Schroer.
Yes, absolutely.
Because he flat out says, they're gerrymandering, we're gerrymandering.
Yes.
I mean, and so he's been very honest about that. And so that's the legal status. Do what you want with it. But I think it's an interesting strategy that just getting the confirmed valid signatures basically prevents Republicans from taking that extra seat until at least 2028.
Yeah, I think so. And so the only way to prevent this from becoming a thing that from at least if you are in favor of the map, or if you want to keep the current map but still kind of keep your options open, you probably don't want to sign this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is the left is trying to hold on to every Democratic seat that they can hold on to. You
Obviously,
got a very narrow thing. So
doing what they can.
They're doing what they can. It's an interest. I will tell you, I did not see that strategy coming. So somebody's got, an understanding of the state laws on referendums and things that are way beyond mine.
And they're already out in force, by the way. A friend of mine just said that somebody tried to get them with the petition at their son's cross country meet.
Yeah, they'll be everywhere.
Yeah. Another strategy I didn't see come in that we should probably also be resisting is the idea of a military police state by chance.
Yeah, please no.
I'm starting to wonder, is St. Louis the next city to become one? We've got that update for you on that in the news dump at 6:50.
I'm the cult of personality, the cult of personality, the cult of personality.
Never too late to start thinking about how you're going to beautify your property, your home, because your home is not just a structure that keeps the snow and the rain off of your head. It's where you live your life. It's where you have your friends over. It's where you have your family over. It's where you create memories. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Lee Concrete Block Company. They have been supplying St. Louis since 1947. I love walking around so many different areas in town, whether it's in Clayton, whether it's in Ladue or Creve Coeur or any place, and you see the properties that have that extra oomph to it. We're talking about that decorative wall. We're talking about those beautiful brick walls. We're talking about those those gazebo fireplace setups that are just the extra things that seem like luxuries, and maybe they are, but they are affordable. You can do it, and they add so much value to your home. Maybe not even just monetarily, but the value of the quality of life that you get to enjoy your home even more. Retaining walls, garden walls, you name it, they've got it at Lee Block. So check them out, LeeMayBlock.com, for some examples of how projects that they have helped people do. You come in with the idea, they will get you the right materials, could be precast concrete, could be ready-mix concrete, but they will show you how to get it done. And so you can do it. You or your contractors can do it, but they will get you there. So put in Lime Block in your GPS or go to limeblock.com. Go see what they have to offer. Ask them questions. Tap into their expertise and make your house more than just a property. Make it a home that you want to live in.
This app is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
It is awesome.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
News Talk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free market and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at HammondInstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933, 314-852-8933, and start packing.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Is St. Louis next? Will it become the next militarized police zone in America?
How do we end up on this list?
Oh, my goodness. But
oh, yeah, that's right, because you guys are terrible. That's right. I remember now. But still, there shouldn't be a list.
Okay, so leftists are also fired up about a possible resolution to honor Charlie Kirk in St. Louis County. We're going to give you the basic details right now, and then County Councilman Mark Harder is going to be with us in about 15 minutes. And then a little bit later on today, I'm going to come back to this, okay, because we've got a lot of people who are really feeling this issue, and I get it. And so we need to talk about it. America's Attorney General wants to punish people who say things that she doesn't like. Frankly, she wants to punish people who say things that decent people don't like. But the problem is the force of government that she wants to use. There's this little thing called the First Amendment that she's kind of stepping all over. So I'll give you those details a little bit later on. It is 6:50 right now. Let's go and dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Is St. Louis the next city to become a military police state? President Trump in the Oval Office says he is considering sending in federalized National Guard troops.
And we got to save St. Louis. We got to save these cities. This isn't like, we're going to do something. We have to save St. Louis. We have to save Chicago.
Okay, so St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy tells Fox 2 that they have not had any discussions with the White House over a possible deployment.
No, we haven't had those conversations. There have been very brief conversations with the governor's office, but that is limited to, hey, have you heard anything?
So the president has not indicated any timetable for making decisions on sending the military into St. Louis. And so just a nuance here to some degree is if the governor decides to activate the National Guard, that's constitutional.
Right.
Now, I don't think Governor Kehoe is going to do that.
He's not inclined to do so.
He's not inclined to do that.
No.
obviously city leaders don't want that, but city leaders have fallen down on the job for decades now.
Yeah.
The president saying we're just going to send in the military into a civilian environment. I wish more people understood how dangerous that is. As bad as it is in St. Louis, is the price of the Band-Aid worth the long-term cost of a police state?
Right, exactly. The long-term cost of giving the executive of the federal government the carte blanche, basically, to send troops wherever he wants, whenever he wants. That's basically what we're talking about. So your President Newsom or your President Pritzker,
Whitmer,
they could just say, you know what, we have a gun crisis and then pick a red place in America, and it's like, we're going to send the National Guard to collect the guns. And it's like, well, what are you going to say? How are you going to argue that if you've already allowed your particular president to do something similar?
Yeah, just we've got to understand what's at stake beyond the current moment. On this. All right, the man who is being held in connection with the assassination of Charlie Kirk still not cooperating with authorities. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino was on Fox's America's Newsroom saying the investigation is by no means done.
Whether it's OSINT, open source intel, through social media that people posted publicly, we'll be looking at that. We'll also be dropping a lot of paper, a lot of subpoenas out there to take a look to see if there was any extended network.
So Tyler Robinson, the suspect, is set to appear in court on Tuesday. He faces aggravated murder and other felony charges. Multiple reports are now saying that he has confessed to the crime to friends on social media, on Discord and other platforms like that, but he's not cooperating with investigators and authorities.
Right. Yeah.
All right. The St. Louis County Council is going to consider a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk at this evening's meeting. Councilman Mark Harder put that on the agenda. The meeting starts at 6:30. It is open to the public. We are going to talk to Mark right around 7:05. The leftists in the St. Louis area are absolutely throwing a fit, and they are going to be out at this meeting. So if you think that Charlie Kirk should be honored with a resolution, or you just want to counterbalance, then you may want to consider going out to that meeting tonight. But we're going to talk to Mark about that here in just a few minutes. Vice President J.D. Vance hosted Charlie Kirk's podcast yesterday. Obviously, now that Charlie Kirk is gone, the vice president, who was good friends with Kirk, urging listeners to carry on Charlie Kirk's legacy.
I can't promise you this is going to be easy. I can't promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. I can't promise you that I will avoid Charlie's fate. But the best way to honor him is to shine the light of truth like a torch in the very darkest places. Go do it. We owe it to our friend to ensure that his killer is not just prosecuted but punished. And the worst punishment is not the death penalty, but the knowledge that Charlie's mission continues after he's gone.
All right. So lot of response, a lot of results, from that conversation that he had. Let's see here. What do we got? Okay. This is interesting. In about a month and a half, Missourians will have to verify their age to look at dirty websites. Yeah, they're going to get digitally carded, if you will.
Right.
New rules go into effect November 30th that require adult websites to verify the age of all users when they are in the state, and they're going to have to be able to prove that all users are adults. Attorney General Catherine Hanaway says website businesses that fail to do so will face civil action and penalties. In other words, they're going to have to record your ID.
Yeah, and keep them on hand.
Yeah,
because ultimately their responsibility is to the government, to this law. So then if a government auditor says, hey, have you been verifying ages? They'll say, sure.
Prove it.
Here are all the IDs we've collected.
And
it's
you're
wait a second.
Okay, wait a minute. Why is my neighbor on there?
Right. Yeah. But now ultimately this is one of those problems of, what can go wrong when there ought to be a law kind of gets taken a little too seriously.
Because it is weird, because we don't have any problem carding to buy alcohol, tobacco, to go into an adult shop now or a strip club now. So conceptually, this is the same thing, but it's also requiring as much as it sounds weird, because Florida and Texas have done similar things. It's the courts are going to decide whether this is a First Amendment issue.
Yeah. I mean, the digital landscape changes things. Now, I wonder if there's a way around this. Is basically you take some version of what's it, Snapchat, basically where there's like a time limitation on the existence of an image or something like that, maybe force them to do that, then I'd be okay with it.
The adult fake ID industry is about to
It's about to take off.
explode.
Oh, gosh.
That somebody's building that website and that service right now. They type in, here's for the low price of X dollars. Here's the code that you can type in. Here's the image that you can put in there. It'll clear all of these automated things.
I'd like to preface this by saying I plead the fifth, but I'm getting pretty good with AI.
Yeah, there you go.
Bro, if I had no morals, it'd already be done.
You'd be making some money,
I'd be
man.
making so
I'm
much
telling
money.
you. All right, the Cardinals in a back and forth game with the Reds ended up losing. Final score at Busch Stadium last night was Cardinals 6, Reds 11. Second game of the series is this evening at 6:45. The loss drops the Redbirds back to 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. There are 11 games left to go in the season. It's funny, some of the sports media, like the Cardinals spokespeople, like, we're fighting for the playoff spot. And even other media in town is like, dude,
like, really?
Yeah, I get that you want people to still be excited. We gave up. We gave up in spring training. Okay. We want to see some things in the off season, but don't try to convince us that there's hope for this season. It's not. Nolan Arenado is back from the injured list. That's great. And
that's cool.
First pitch he saw, man, he smacked a base hit. It was a beautiful thing. So I love that Nolan Arenado's back.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
You can join in the mission to remember our fallen heroes, honor those who currently serve and their families, and teach younger generations about the value of freedom. A $17 donation to Wreaths Across America sponsors a fresh balsam remembrance wreath. These wreaths have become a symbol of America's respect for those who have served and no longer walk with us. Sponsor a wreath today. Visit wreathsacrossamerica.org or call 877-385-9504.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Today we'll bring Tyler Robinson's first court appearance. The 22-year-old accused assassin of Charlie Kirk will appear virtually before a Utah state court. He'll face capital murder and other charges. Vice President Vance vowing to carry on Charlie Kirk's legacy.
In an unprecedented moment for a sitting Vice President, Vance hosted the Salem Radio Network's Charlie Kirk Show days after the conservative grassroots leader was murdered. Speaking in personal terms, the Vice President said Kirk inspired him to be a better husband and father.
And that is the way that I'm going to honor my friend.
He also vowed to carry on Kirk's legacy.
The movement that Charlie started has to keep going.
And the Vice President denounced what he called the festering violence on the far left. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Trump is deploying the National Guard to Memphis to combat crime. And after Memphis,
we got to go and save our big cities, our great cities. Chicago's a great city, and we're going to make it great again very soon. And I think we can do that.
The president says another boatload of poison will not be reaching U.S. shores. The American military has blown another drug-running boat out of the water in the Caribbean. Israel has launched a major Gaza City offensive targeting Hamas. Secretary of State Rubio suggesting the terror group brought it upon itself.
We still have a Hamas that is not only holding 48 hostages, they're holding Gaza hostage, and they're using civilians as human shields. There's still a dangerous element and as long as that they exist, as long as they're around, there will be no peace in this region, because they are not agents of peace, they are agents of barbarism.
Israel is strongly rejecting a new UN report accusing it of genocide in Gaza. Israel labeling the report distorted and false. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are down 2 points. The NASDAQ futures up 49, S&P futures 10 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Every day I speak with people who are worried and are feeling a lot of pressure because of credit card debt. That's why I'm very proud of what we do at Trinity. We just help. We give people the support they need, along with a real plan to become debt-free. Credit card bills are consolidated into a single monthly payment that is much less than what they were paying before. Most of our members end up saving thousands and even may improve their credit scores by as much as 200 points. I know from the bottom of my heart that I'm making a difference in the lives of the people we help. It just makes me really happy.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Julie, and I'm a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer temperatures hanging on out there. Lots of sunshine today, another hot one up to 93 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois. So no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Phifer.
I triple dog Darius!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, tonight's St. Louis County Council meeting is going to be a spicy one.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Again. Yep. Leftists are furious that a resolution to honor Charlie Kirk is going to be discussed. It's been proposed. So do you support passing that? It doesn't actually change anything in government.
Sure.
It's just saying something to honor Charlie Kirk, and they are going to be out in full force tonight. So if you want to meet the gross things they're about to say,
Mhm.
you may want to think about getting involved as well. We're joined now by County Councilman Mark Harder. Mark, I saw the headlines pop up, and then you and I, of course, chatted yesterday as well. You've requested that this go on the agenda tonight. So tell me first what it is that you want the resolution to say. And I know that there are debates and tweaks, and it could end up being something else. But what is the sentiment that you would like to see expressed by the council?
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me on. It's a very simple resolution. It's only about 6 or 8 small paragraphs, basically just recognizing, that a devoted husband, father, and Christian was tragically assassinated on September 10th while speaking at Utah Valley University during an event promoting civil discourse among college students. And it goes on from there, basically stating the facts of what happened. And that, we are, this is a person who's passionate about free speech and his faith, and that, that we honor his untimely death, in a special way, and that we, think about his family and children that he left behind, things like that. I mean, it isn't very controversial, but the leftists seem to, if you look at my email and my phone messages, that they've lost their heads over this. They're saying that, why do you honor a right-wing, racist, homophobe, fill in the blank, whatever you want to put in there.
Good morning, Mark. Gabe here. So now I suppose the most charitable, setting aside the sort of libelous or slanderous things that the left has to say about Charlie, I suppose the most charitable argument that we could give the left on this is, well, Charlie didn't really have any connection to St. Louis County. There isn't really there. Why make this a point to why do this at all in St. Louis County, because we don't have a connection to him? That's the best argument I could give.
And I've heard somebody argue that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've honored people we don't know either in the news. We've done over the years. We've done resolutions for people in and outside this area, people that have been in the news. I mean, for gosh sakes, years ago, there was a resolution to honor, Margaret Sanger. So,
right.
I mean,
forgot
there's
about that.
that type of thing.
Mm.
So I don't see this as, this is a major news story, and this is a major event in our country's history. So, like I said, this is somebody that died for his faith, died for what he believed, died for trying to challenge us. And I think that's where the disconnect is that through his way of challenging people to debate, I think is seen as somehow, that he was that way. And I think he basically, if you go back, if anybody has ever listened to his videos, he basically would just challenge people, and then they would pretty much melt down because their, views were challenged, and nobody's ever challenged some of these people, I guess. And so I think that is being translated, that somehow by his challenging people's views that he is a certain title or whatever was put on him.
By the way, that Margaret Sanger reference,
Yeah,
I think
I forgot
that
about
one.
that.
That
Yeah.
one actually should be the nail in the coffin of any opposition to this, because she was actually an avowed racist, like for real. So don't forget to bring that up at the meeting.
Right. No, we've done resolutions there. We've done resolutions for Planned Parenthood. So this is like saying this is tame compared to stuff that has been brought up to our council in the past, and nobody blinked an eye hardly at the other things. So, it is what it is. And I think he needs to be recognized, and we're recognizing him with this resolution. We're going to send a copy to Turning Point, and hopefully that will get to his widow. And, I don't see this as a big controversy, but the media and the left have lost their mind over this thing.
Okay, obviously the Democrats have a 4-3 majority on the council. Is this something that you think you can get approved? Because it just requires a simple majority, right?
Yes, we just need 4 votes. So we need one of the Democrats to vote for it. And so that will be telling as well as we move forward. So I'm glad you're having me on the show. If anybody wants to support me in this effort, please, would love to have you come to the meeting this evening at 6:30 and voice your support, or just be there in person. You don't have to speak if you don't want to, but there'll be opportunities to speak pro and con on this resolution at the meeting.
Hey, let me ask about some logistics of this, because, we've seen, some of the fringe leftists, argue and cause a scene and that sort of thing. And we've also seen some people on the right side of some issues get really worked up at the council meetings when you go back to the shutdowns and the mask and things like that. So let's talk about the logistics for a second. Somebody says, all right, Mark, I'm with you. I want to make sure there's a counterbalance. I want to make sure that we don't allow only the far left to have a say in this. How does it work if somebody wants to come, and if they want to speak? How does this whole thing work? How do they do that?
Sure. Well, the meeting starts at 6:30. So if you'd like to speak, I'd recommend you get there by about 6:15. You need to sign in that you want to be a speaker. And there's 2 spots in our agenda. There's a spot towards the beginning that is to speak upon agenda items. So this is an agenda item. So you just mentioned in your sign-in that you'd like to speak about this. And then when your name is called, you can get up and you get 3 minutes to talk about this. If you don't want to do that, you can just come in and, have a seat and listen to the proceedings and listen to other people speak and deal with it that way. So it's very simple, and I wouldn't think is very intimidating, but some people might be intimidated by the process.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of news there, and it's getting a lot of coverage. So, don't name names if you don't want to. But what's your read on the vibe of the council at this point? What do you think the chances are, and what does it say if the council says no to something like this?
I don't think it says it. Let me say it. I would hope that they would say yes to this, just on the surface. But there'll be some that won't, because of their constituencies and the pressure that probably is being put on them as well to vote against this. Like I said, I don't see this as very controversial. Here's a gentleman that gave his life to a cause, and has a wife and 2 small children, and was assassinated in cold blood in the public eye. And all he wanted to was to challenge people's thoughts, good and bad or indifferent. He just wanted to challenge people's thought, because once people are challenged, in many cases, they start to think about it and can't come up with a viable answer to some of his things. And that is seen, I guess, by some as being either intimidating, or that he's, whatever title they want to put on him. So we'll see how this all comes together. Either way, I think it will be telling how it passes, or if it doesn't pass, and what they say to defeat this. So hopefully everybody can be civil, and I think Charlie would want that to be his legacy, that we have simple debate in an open environment, which is what we do every Tuesday night when it comes to our council.
So when will the actual language of the proposed resolution be available?
Probably afternoon today.
Okay.
It has to be put in the queue, basically, for our meeting. But it will be read at the meeting tonight before it's voted on. Yeah. That's our normal procedure. So you'll hear it. If you're at the meeting, you'll hear it this evening as well.
Okay, so if anybody, particularly those in St. Louis County, want to lend their voice, either, is sending the phone calls, the emails. I mean, you're getting a bunch of those from the far left. Does it help when people from the other side, from our side, make that same thing? Because there's going to be a lot of people that say, I can't make it to the meeting, but I still want to make my voice heard. What's the best way to do it?
Sure, they can send us, go on to the St. Louis County website, and all the council people have their own website address. They can go that way, or you can call our individual phone numbers as well, and leave your message, and we'll take it from there.
All right, Councilman Mark Harder, appreciate the update, because I saw the first headlines on this yesterday, and I'm like, yep, the purple-haired nose rings are going to throw a fit. We knew that was going to happen on this. All right, so Mark, best of luck with that. And this, of course, we're going to be following it, obviously, the results of it tomorrow as well.
Okay, we'll see you guys.
All right, 314-912-1019 if you've got some thoughts on that. But you can also get involved directly by contacting the county council and making your voice heard on it.
Now, Charlie Kirk was a free speech absolutist, as are we, I think, in this room. So is there a difference between free speech and hate speech? And should hate speech be punished by the federal government? That's what our attorney general thinks. Let's dig into that at 7:20.
No destination, making cold my to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to you.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Can't you hear the alarm?
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
The St. Louis County Council is at an impasse on what to do about its outdated building. David Stokes of Show Me will let us know if it will become a Spirit Halloween store by October.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Is your backyard a battleground every evening? Swatting, itching, kids running back inside? Hey, Tim Jones here. I just found out about a new local company, Mosquito Nix, that can take care of all that and more. They offer permanent automatic mosquito and tick protection, not just fogging, real coverage you don't have to think about. They've helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Now they're offering a free fogging treatment to introduce themselves to St. Louis families. Call 636-698-1980 now, or visit mosquitonix.com. Say goodbye to bug bites this summer. Service area restrictions do apply. Tell them Tim Jones sent you. Ask about their back-to-school special. St. Louis summers don't last forever, but mosquito bites shouldn't either. Call 636-698-1980. Visit mosquitonix.com. That's mosquitonix.com. This is a limited time offer.
Storm damage got you stressed out? Don't worry. Call Mario and his team at Top Quality Exteriors. We're your local St. Louis neighbors. Mario and his team specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters. Whether you need a few shingles replaced or a complete exterior makeover, we bring quality work with real results at an affordable price. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to get your claim approved and help you get your repairs done quickly. Call for a free estimate today, 314-618-8888. BBB accredited and ready to roll. 314-618-8888.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This will be the biggest ant ranger of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Just a quick heads up. I've had a lot of comments, very kind comments on, my getting healthier over the past, year and a half or so. At 7:35, Ryan Mustone from Nutrition Stop is going to be in with us. So we're going to look at some of the things that aren't just about, obviously the weight and the fitness, but we're talking about the stuff that affects your hormones and the external stuff that goes in. So we talk about, I'm trying to piggyback off of the conversations around the Make America Healthy Again sort of movement that's happening right now. So Ryan's going to be here. If you've got any questions, send them our way because we'll ask Ryan on those. So regardless of what it is, and if it's like a medical thing, he's not a doctor. So, I mean, he'll sort of defer on that. But if you've got any questions on that sort of stuff, send them in and we'll work them into the conversation best we can.
Yeah, they're going to be doing a RFK Pete Hegseth style training montage in the studio here. So make sure you're on the stream as well.
Okay. Okay, guys, let's talk free speech.
Okay.
Because to me, free speech means free speech. Okay,
Right.
So I'm coming back to this. We've got a lot of people with a lot of really interesting perspectives on this. Okay. And so I'm watching sort of the conversations on social media, 314-912-1019. America's Attorney General seems to be buying into that leftist trope about hate speech.
Yeah.
And I want to dig into this right here because I think that when our side gets it wrong, we should not wait for the other side to be in the good guy position when they invented the bad thing that somebody on our side is doing here. So is nuance possible in an emotional time like this?
No.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, you right away were like, yeah. Oh, let me think about that here. Okay. So let me get into that nuance just a little bit. There are people who are saying horrific things about Charlie Kirk's assassination and about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
There are people who are celebrating, dancing, saying, I'm glad he's dead.
Oh, they're singing songs about it.
I hope more people like him end up being dead. For some of those people, I think that should cost you your job, depending on what you do. That's the nuance.
Right. And then that's what you rightly categorized as it's not a I can't remember the first word you said, but it's a qualification issue.
Yeah. For instance, we're seeing doctors and nurses getting fired, or the hospitals catching hell for them celebrating the fact that somebody was murdered by a gunman.
Right.
If you are in the medical field and you state and you make it clear that you don't think some people should be allowed to live because you disagree with them, you have just told the world, I will not honor my Hippocratic oath for everybody.
Yeah. You have disqualified yourself as an ethical and moral arbiter of health among the populace.
You cannot be trusted with somebody's life because you've just said
there are some people you don't care about.
There are some people who don't deserve to live.
Right.
So you should not be in a position to have their life in your hands. I think that is disqualifying.
Yes.
If you are in education, especially with children, and you are celebrating somebody being killed, and you're saying that's the right moral or thing to do, and you think there should be more of that, you have no business being around children. That should be something that is a qualification issue.
Right, exactly. You shouldn't be trusted with the young, impressionable minds.
Right, because you're not objective. You're not teaching how to think. You're teaching what to think. And you should not be there. Okay, you wait tables at a restaurant and you say something stupid. Does that disqualify you from waiting tables at a restaurant? No, but the restaurant can decide whether or not they want to be associated with you, and customers can decide whether or not they want to spend money with you.
Right, exactly.
That's the free market.
And that's free market, right.
Yeah. So I think that's the nuance and stuff here. So let's talk about Pam Bondi. I will go back to say that when she was first nominated, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
And I had some people give me some static.
You were worried about it. You were worried about her.
And it was more of the Second Amendment that, because she's not good on the Second Amendment.
Right. She had a history of not being on the right side of a couple of those issues.
Yes. And so she was on a podcast, Katie Miller's podcast, which is kind of one of those video audio podcast things. Katie Miller is Stephen Miller's wife. So that was he deputy chief of staff, I think is what he is.
Something like that.
And so she's asking Pam Bondi about, should the government prosecute people who say hateful things? Here's the nuance. They aren't talking about making direct threats.
Right.
They're not talking about inciting. They're talking about saying disgusting, awful things about Charlie Kirk and about people in the realm of Charlie Kirk, which would be most of us, I would think. So let me pick up that discussion and just get a little bit of this between Pam Bondi and Katie Miller. And by the way, Katie Miller follows up and asks, about literal arrest and prosecution of people for what they say. Here's how it goes.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
Okay, so here's the thing is putting cuffs on.
Yeah.
So we're talking about
arrest.
We're talking about arrest and prosecution of people who say things we don't like, say hateful things. I'm not even saying good things. I'm saying bad things,
right?
Saying hateful things. And we've got the Attorney General now saying, if you say hateful things, we will look for ways to arrest you and prosecute you. And she started out by saying there's free speech and there's hate speech. That's what the left has been arguing for years and years and years. And conservatives have been pointing out, no, hate speech is free speech that's gross.
Right, exactly. And if you were not triggered by the use of that phrase, there's something wrong with you in terms of your conservative brain. If your conservative brain didn't immediately rebel against the concept of the distinction between free speech and hate speech, then you're lacking in your conservatism.
Yeah. So this is where I'm asking people to use nuance and not be tribal. Okay. What I'm asking people is to value the First Amendment and value the right of free speech, the right to even be wrong
and gross,
because the whole legacy of Charlie Kirk that the right is trying to rightly point out is that he countered hateful speech and things that were said with better speech, with things that were true. And so now in response to that, we've got an Attorney General who is saying, we're going to take on things that I don't like by forcing the government to go after you. All right, who we got here?
We have a fan favorite, Virginia Cruda.
Hey, Virginia.
Has a question for us.
Virginia, I've got about 90 seconds for you. Just know before the hard break. Just let you know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious as to the whole context here, because when Pam Bondi says targeting people with hate speech, I'm wondering if she's more referring to the people who are like, okay, here's the rest of the hit list now, because that's happening too.
Right.
I just wonder if that's kind of the direction she's going, because when she uses the word targeting with hate speech, I don't think she's necessarily talking about the people who are like, okay, yeah, it's fine that he's dead because, he supported that would be the, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt,
but
I feel like
here's the thing,
that
though.
might be
But she started that statement by saying, well, there's free speech and then there's hate speech.
Right. I know. I think it's a clumsy way of saying we're going after people who are actually making threats.
Well, she didn't say that though.
I would like to think. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, I agree.
I'm hoping she means.
I'm hoping she means
what I'm
that.
saying.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
I would like her to mean that, but that's not what I heard, and that's
Yeah.
the problem. So hopefully
No,
she'll
I
come
think
by and
the problem is
clarify.
in using the terminology
Yeah.
that the left has made famous now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to pick her brain and say, is this really the word you want to use for this, or
Yeah.
do you maybe want to clarify that you're actually talking about threats?
I think there's
Because
been
threats are arrestable anyway.
right. Yeah. And like I said, that's the nuance that we said. I'm not defending that at all. I think that what you're probably going to see because of the backlash on the right on this, I have a feeling we're probably going to see a clarification statement from her.
Here's hoping.
Just like
I hope
Cash.
so.
Yeah, I would hope so. And she's going to have to backtrack on what she said.
Thanks, Virginia.
She's just going to have to. All right, Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Virginia. All right. People have been really kind to me on my health journey here. And one of the guys who's made that happen is with us here. You got questions or anything, send them our way.
Yeah, and while we debate what's going on with America, you can take control of your own health like Mike has. I mean, it's undeniable. So just ahead of this information segment, we're going to have the man himself who has made Mike the machine he is today coming in and joining us. So stay tuned.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer 73 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans, and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that could derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
A social media progressive influencer says, adding that he's already gotten numerous death threats in recent days. And that influencer just underscored what is happening in our nation. Even though there's been no right-winger physically attacked, much less try to murder someone so far, and hopefully never. But we are on an edge here with the First Amendment. If you speak your mind, you could be targeted. The whole purpose of the First Amendment is that you can exercise free speech. Of course, there are limits which most accept. You cannot use your words to incite hate, violence. But at what point would your words cross that line? This progressive influencer, who has a massive following, says, I'm probably going to cancel several upcoming public events. Why? He said, I need to wait for the temperature to lower a bit. Ironically, this influencer, Hassan Piker, was to debate Charlie on a college campus in 2 weeks.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs, attorney at law, has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs, attorney at law. Call 636-949-0010, extension 3 today, or visit colecombs-law.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This is Larry Connors, and my favorite sandwich at Capriati's is a Philly cheesesteak with peppers, sweet peppers, but sometimes hot peppers. I love Capriati's, and so will you.
Open 9 to 9 daily on Manchester of McKnight in Rock Hill.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. I talk about it a lot. I've gotten a lot healthier lately. So here's my question. Do you want to join me? But I want to talk about not just like the inches and the pounds. Let's talk about some other aspects of this because it's been in the news and I'm not getting into the politics of it, but with RFK Jr. and the ingredients and the toxins and things like that, you don't have to deal with the politics to take steps to make yourself and your home environment healthier. So 314-912-1019, or if you got any questions, Ryan Mustone from Nutrition Stop, which I talk about them all the time. He's here with us here. And so Ryan, let me start with this. Nutrition's one thing. Okay. Because, I'm in there all the time getting my lunch today. It's from Nutrition Stop, that bison, which I always get. So when I walk in on the parking lot, do you and Laura and Zach, or do they just go, oh, hey, go double check the bison, Mike's here?
We do.
Yeah.
Make sure it's stocked.
Okay, so we talk about the food and nutrition, all that sort of thing, but we don't talk about like the toxins that affect us from outside the body. Now, there's obviously, the toxins. I'm going to get into that, some of the food, but there are things that we do every day that are now being questioned that are like we bring them into our environment. What are some of the things that we need to like look around and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe that's not what I want here?
Well, all personal care products, household cleaners, those are suspect to have junk in them. And it's very prevalent. And if you're not reading your ingredients, you're likely getting junk you do not want. So I say just start reading ingredients in all personal care products, from lotions to sunscreens to oils to just everything you're putting on your skin, shampoo, conditioner, soap, and then deodorant, exactly, toothpaste, and then even cleaners, your laundry detergent, your every all-purpose cleaner that you're using around the house. Everything has junk in it. And again, if you're not specifying, looking around it, there's phytolates, they're endocrine disruptors. There's parabens, those are endocrine disruptors. They all mess with the hormones. There's different VOCs, volatile organic compounds, that on the label doesn't say formaldehyde, but they break down into formaldehyde. So you're walking around breathing formaldehyde in.
So can we still have a clean counter and a clean table without those things?
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do we do that?
Well, just start reading ingredients. If you don't know what it is, it's likely junk. Simplify the ingredients. When it comes to like body care, just get something with like argan oil in it, rosehip oil in it, shea butter in it, and no, not the long list of other junk. If it says perfume, that's likely full of junk too. I really prefer scent free or fragrance free, but if you're going to have a scent in there, make sure it's like a full spectrum, like actual essential oil, not like an isolated fragrance or anything like that.
I'm also hearing a lot of people talk about things, forever chemicals. These compounds that they get in their body and they just kind of last, and they're constantly disrupting. What exactly are those for those of us who are a little not quite in the know?
Well, like the phytolates and the parabens and these VOCs, these volatile organic compounds, and you can just like Google these things. There's a whole long list of them. I don't have them all memorized.
Sure.
There's a long list of all these different things, and they just hang out in the body forever. They hang out in the fat cells forever, unless you're really like removing them. You're never not getting inundated with them. So your cells are constantly just like getting micro amounts of them all the time.
Got a question for you. We mentioned the bison. Allison wants to know, where is your bison sourced from?
Northern Wisconsin. We visited the farm a few years ago. It's absolutely terrific. They have a very large amount of acreage that they're using. They have hundreds, thousands of different bison that they're rotating through every year. It's beyond regenerative agriculture. They're fully integrated. They're actually raising the animal on site, dropping the animal on site, and then processing them on site. So it never leaves the farm or the area.
Yeah, because one of the things that I think has been the biggest benefit to me personally is, now, first of all, you guys know I pester you with questions all the time in there, but one of the simple concepts is get away from processed foods. Now, I know you're talking about the actual preparing, but we talk about when I've stopped eating the processed foods, that in itself has made a difference. What goes into foods that people normally get, whether it's prepackaged or at the convenience store, whatever, when we talk about the processed foods, as opposed to the natural foods that you all sell, what's the difference? What's going into those that's causing the problems?
Well, a lot of the processed foods are just food-like products. They're a myriad of different ingredients patched together to make up like a food, like what might be a food or resemble a food. And there's usually all sorts of fake ingredients and synthetic ingredients within that, natural flavors, artificial dyes, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the difference would be our food, at our store, we really try to minimize. There's none of that junk coming in. If we accidentally have an ingredient slip in through the cracks, it just goes out the door immediately. We don't even put it on our shelves. But we're curating everything that comes through and making sure there's not any junk in it.
Yeah. And what do you make of the new emphasis, on this? Because, before there was a subset of people who were just health nuts or fitness nuts or organic nuts or whatever it is. And now this is in sort of a national conversation. Are we talking about it the right way for people to benefit the most?
Well, it would be great if it got a little bit more national exposure and really just said, no, this is where we need to go and just change, because it makes an enormous difference. Doing this for 20 years, seeing the people that are choosing this lifestyle versus not, they're clearly healthier. They don't have as many allergies. Their autoimmune symptoms are easier to manage. They're not, in and out of the hospital with immune issues. Less inflammation all over the body.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good answer. And what was funny is it 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was in, and Laura said, hey, here's this little booklet that you left for me, about a particular herb. Now, obviously we're not doctors here, so the whole disclaimers and all that sort of stuff, but there's a lot of research on this herbal supplement that I've now added because I read the book that you gave. Of course, I say book, it's like 40 pages, on curcumin, out of an herb out of India.
Turmeric. It comes from the herb or the root, the root turmeric.
Yeah.
And curcumin's the main active constituent within it, and it has a plethora of different myriad of health benefits. One of the main things that is just first and foremost is an outstanding anti-inflammatory.
Yep.
It really helps regulate inflammation all across the body. And there's all sorts of research, thousands and thousands of studies being done at this point to really show the efficacy.
Yeah. And I've added it. And I can tell you that after I had lost the weight and I'd gotten healthier, my joint stuff had decreased a lot. And I'm 53 years old, playing baseball 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm not waking up hurting.
That's awesome.
Now, I mean, 53 years old, I should be waking up hurting no matter what, but I'm not. I'm not. And it was funny. I was playing, and I hope to God the guy's not listening right now, but there was a guy who was on third base from the other team, and I was playing third base the other day, and he made a comment. It's like, I'm 49 years old. I'm like, I'm 53, and I'm thinking, I look 10 years younger than I just do.
Yeah.
But that's something that has to do with we're going to age no matter what. But have we been prematurely aging ourselves for generations?
I think so. I really do. I mean, I think our human potential, I think a lot of folks think you can live to 100, 120 years. No issue. It's just getting out of our body's way and nourishing it properly, getting the junk out, getting the toxins out, and getting the nutrients in. That's one of the main secrets to longevity and just health overall. You got to get the toxins out of the cells to allow the nutrients into the cell. So the less junk you're putting in your body or on your body and loading your body up with nutrients, you're going to feel a lot better.
I think when we started working together, one of the biggest surprises I had, I knew you'd have healthy food. I knew you'd have, vitamins and nutritional supplements. I knew you'd have all of that stuff. I knew you'd have, the teas and all that sort of stuff. But I was not expecting the personal hygiene products. I was not expecting the laundry detergent or the house cleaners. That's something I had never thought of when it comes to that, because we always think of what we put inside of our body, but we never think about what we put on the outside of our body. For instance, deodorant. Right. For instance, you think, well, it just keeps me from stinking, but it actually does get absorbed and not just in the skin there. It goes through the body.
Yeah, there's aluminum and just synthetic ingredients in that too. That gets absorbed. And there's all sorts of research coming out saying aluminum's part of, I don't want to say it, part of this autism issue, but that's part of the correlations that they're putting.
They're at least looking into it.
They're looking into it. Yeah.
Now we've got a question from listener Scooter. He says, he asks, how much of health is nutrition and how much is exercise? What's the ideal balance?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think they go hand in hand. I mean, you really just got to nourish yourself and maintain yourself. I think you need to go for a walk every day, spend time outside every week. Meditate's important. Just calming your mind. You don't have to focus on anything. Just clear your mind. That's what meditation is. Just clear your mind.
There's a common statement, and finish your thought here, but there's a common statement that says you cannot out exercise a bad diet.
Sure. Yeah, I agree to that. And it really does start with diet. I think you can be really physically fit, and I think you can be in the gym all the time. But if you're still just eating the conventional American diet, it's going to eventually catch up to you.
Yeah. All right. Getting more questions. Let us know here. Ryan Mustone from Nutrition Stop. I mean, of course, I could do a whole show with this, but they won't let me do it. But yeah, when we come around to so many of these things, obviously Nutrition Stop on Mexico Road in St. Peter's. One of the other things I valued so much is that your team takes this really seriously as a lifestyle for themselves. So I come to you for the bison. Obviously, I get my probiotics and vitamins, but I also come to your team for advice. And that's one of the things I want to press upon people, because it can be really intimidating saying, well, this time I'm going to get really healthy.
Yeah, it can be really intimidating. And we've got a great team at the store. One of our employees has been there 26 years. Some of the staff have been there in the industry 15, 20 years. I've been in the industry 15, 20 years. My wife's been in the industry 15, 20 years. One of the guys has been at the store since we opened back up 4 years ago. The store's been there 40 years, but we took it over 4 years ago, and he's been there since the beginning too, and he's great.
Listener Allison, she's excited, I think, to see what you've got going on there. She says it's a pretty long trip to the Nutrition Stop, but I am definitely going there. So awesome. Good on you, Allison, and I'm glad to know you're excited for that. And another thing we're excited for is Steve Forbes. He's going to be on this program tomorrow morning at 7:35. Then, of course, he'll be at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center on Thursday. If you've already reserved your free tickets, you will not want to miss this event. We'll see you there.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL.
JB Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Fall is blazing into Warrenton, Missouri. September 20th on Main Street. The free festival that's got it all. Inflatables, petting zoo, barrel train, mini golf, bungee trampolines, all free. Local bands rock the East Stage, and the real fire starter.
Hi, this is Jody Messina.
Jody Messina live on the main stage at 7:30. Grab your crew, bring your family, great food, cold drinks, and memories you'll never forget. Warrenton's Fall Festival, September 20th on Main Street.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Oh, okay. You guys know what I think of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And pop culture and everything. However, every once in a while, there's a big enough name that I want to pass on. We've got some news now from Fox is reporting this now. Robert Redford has passed away at the age of 89.
Man,
my favorite Robert Redford movie, which will surprise absolutely nobody, is The Natural.
Right.
Yeah, that was just a great movie. But yeah, Robert Redford dead at the age of 89. He died in his home in Utah, it sounds like. So anyway, so there's a little bit. That's about as much, Hollywood news as you're going to find from me. It is coming up on 7:52 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Gabe Phifer and, of course, producer Jerome here. By the way, I forgot to mention Nutrition Stop is just nutritionstop.com.
Right.
But go to their shop at in St. Peter's, just off Mexico Road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were getting some pretty good questions. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to. You have to ask before the end of the segment, unfortunately. But if you reach out to them, I'm sure they would be absolutely thrilled to have help you start your journey.
And the funny part is that the stuff that they suggested, like I never thought of like probiotics and stuff. Like that. I never thought of that. And they Ryan suggested, he said, "What are you doing for probiotics?" I'm like, I take vitamins, I guess. Now, first of all, not all vitamins are the same and not all those supplements are the same. You need those ingredients that are done right. And the funny part is that it's not changing my budget, but man, do I feel better. But anyway, okay, let's talk about stuff. Stuff here. Okay. It looks like some people are already becoming dependent on AI.
Oh, geez. All right. Yeah. We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
We knew it was going to happen.
So the downward spiral into not thinking for ourselves continues.
Yes.
Here we go.
Apace.
Okay. So I found this as a website called Resume Templates, and there's a survey that's out there. 73% of people who use AI chatbots now say that they are dependent on AI.
Oh my gosh.
1 in 4 people who use them say that they struggle to write emails without AI.
Oh, come on.
Writing
emails?
Yeah, writing emails. 1 in 4 say they struggle to do it unless there's a computer doing their quote unquote thinking for them.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're way down that rabbit hole.
21% say making decisions has become harder if they don't have access to something like ChatGPT.
All right. Okay.
I mean, listen, I use AI to do searches. I'm looking for information.
Well, yeah,
like I used to Google it. Now I'll go in and say,
right,
hey, tell me about this, or what does this word mean, or something like that.
I think that's different.
Yeah.
That's different than what we're talking about in terms of people, taking their verbiage from ChatGPT for their emails. Like, so, okay. The healthiest version of it, right, would be asking AI the same question you would ask Google in order to make a decision about something or other. So like I'm looking to buy a dash cam. I'm looking to buy a dash cam. So instead of typing into Google 10 best dash cams 2025,
because then you just get ads.
I will ask ChatGPT. I was like, hey, what are the highest, most highly rated, and then you can be specific. It's like, I want the 3 camera type with its forward back looking and driver facing interior. And you can be very specific about those things in ChatGPT that you can't do in Google. And that becomes a great resource for making your decisions. But if you're saying to ChatGPT, should I date him or pass? Yeah. Here's his name. Please search him. Like you're being weird and creepy and letting a computer decide on your life.
it's weird to think that right now there could be a couple that are in the flirting stages right now, both of them using ChatGPT to come up with how to get to know each other better. And
oh my gosh, what questions should I ask on the first date?
It's just at some point it's going to be AI talking to AI through people, and that's terrifying.
I mean, here's the thing: is like how many dates before you let your AIs interface? I'm just saying. I'm like, okay, I'm just saying.
Because I saw a report that when it comes to hiring, like even getting a job, the candidates will use AI on the resumes, and then the recruiter will use AI to scan through it. So then it's like it's up to the AI to decide if they like your AI response better than different AI response. Like, what are we doing?
Okay, get this: the same survey along those lines, Jerome. Half of people who now we're talking about people who use AI. So if you weren't surveyed, if you don't use AI,
like regular,
like chat stuff, okay. Of course, a lot of people use AI and don't realize it.
True.
But we're talking about people who, like, half of people, 49%, say writing professional documents is harder without AI. We are losing the ability to speak and critically think and write because we are now, instead of just using it as a tool, we are now using it as a crutch.
Replacement.
A replacement. Yeah.
Wall-E was not supposed to be documentary people,
right? Exactly. What's funny is like there's some old guy who's thinking it all started with calculators, because on some level it's kind of like, okay, I need to outsource, to do the simple fast stuff, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and I got a calculator. Now I can't do it in my head, right? Now I couldn't do it with a piece of paper. Now I don't even know what the concepts are. I have to ask ChatGPT, and then it's like, well, why should I do math? The computer will do it for me.
Right. So here how the numbers break down. Of those who use, an AI product, a chat product, 78% of Gen Z say they become addicted. 75% of millennials say they feel dependent. 67% of Gen X, 59% of boomers.
These numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
What's happening to us?
Well, ask ChatGPT. It'll tell you.
Jamie Allman here, and I want you to hide out with me 10 minutes south of 270 in Gravois at the wonderful Hideout, the best burgers you're going to find anywhere in the land, and yet people still eat Dave's Chili right there at 90-degree temperatures. Music every day, it seems, people, on the weekends especially, and dinners and lunch served every single day of the week. The coldest beer and the best staff you're going to find, the Hideout right there in High Ridge.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention NewsTalkSTL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention NewsTalkSTL for 10% off.
Craving the freshest in town? Anthony's Produce is your daily destination for nature's finest. For 28 years, we've been your trusted supplier for everything seasonal. It's homegrown apple season. Choose from many local varieties. Grab some caramel dip or try our made-in-house gourmet caramel apples. Fall decorating? We've got hardy mums, corn stalks, straw bales, pumpkins, gourds, Indian corn, and jumbo specialty pumpkins. Perfect for carving or pies. Plus seasoned firewood available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6:30, and Sundays, 8 to 5 on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi with Reach Reproductive Health. So first, I want to say thank you for standing in the gap for life, because truly it's because of people like you that many babies who otherwise would have been aborted are living today. I'm grateful to be fighting this cause with you. I'd like to invite you out to Reach's inaugural annual gala. It's our stakeholders launch. We're having it November the 6th at 6 p.m. at the Commons in Chesterfield. Space really is limited, so I want you to RSVP right now. Go grab your spot at outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Georgia Supreme Court has declined to hear Fulton County District Attorney Bonnie Willis's appeal of her removal from the Trump election interference case So now the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia will have to find someone else to take over the case. When it comes to fighting crime, another American city about to get the Trump treatment, the president sending the National Guard to Memphis.
The president signed an order creating a Memphis task force that will carry out anti-crime efforts similar to the federal law enforcement crackdown in Washington, D.C.
This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here.
Tennessee's governor joined the president for his Oval Office announcement. The effort will involve the FBI, Drug Enforcement Administration, and ICE, among other federal agencies. Greg Clugston, Washington.
True to its word, Israel's been warning of it for several weeks now. The Israeli military has launched a major offensive targeting Hamas in Gaza City. In an encouraging sign for the U.S. economy, retail sales rose a better than expected 0.6% from July to August. Several more states considering redrawing their congressional maps ahead of next year's midterms.
Texas, California, and Missouri may have led the way, but the battle over redistricting is far from over. At least 7 states are considering new maps, likely to give either Republicans or Democrats better chances in the 2026 battle for the House. Republicans currently hold a 220 to 213 advantage, with 2 seats previously held by Democrats now vacant after their deaths and scheduled to be filled by special elections over the next several weeks. Bob Agnew reporting.
Actor-director Robert Redford has died. He was 89. On Wall Street, ahead of the opening bell, the Dow futures down 44, NASDAQ futures up 45. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Attention investors with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account. The dollar has lost over 25% of its value in the past 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. Are you prepared for what's about to happen next? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold IRA company in America, and we are helping Americans prepare for the great de-dollarization by diversifying their portfolios with physical precious metals. We've partnered with former chief economist of the IMF, Kenneth Rogoff, to give away his latest book called Our Dollar, Your Problem, a must-read for investors. Call 800-741-GOLD, and we'll rush a free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem to your doorstep and include our special gold IRA investing kit, valued at $49. The dollar is losing value fast. Call 800-741-GOLD now to get your free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem and our free gold IRA investing kit. Supplies are limited. Consult your tax and financial professional before investing. Call 800-741-4653. That's 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer temperatures hanging on out there. Lots of sunshine today, another hot one up to 93 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans, and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
NewsTalk STL, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, and the Young America's Foundation welcome Steve Forbes to Lindenwood University for an inspiring evening on how free enterprise and entrepreneurship make America great. Discover how free markets and small business drive innovation, prosperity, and opportunity. Thursday, September 18th at Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center for the Arts. And this in-person event is free. Reserve your tickets now at hammondinstitute.org. Brought to you by Mid-Rivers and West News Magazines.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Here we go again. These people are crazy.
Gabe Phifer.
A charitable interpretation for this kind of behavior does not exist.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up, St. Louis.
We're a different kind of clown show.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up,
All right, I know we don't like this question, but is St. Louis the next to become a militarized police zone?
Yikes.
Because that could be happening. By name, the president said St. Louis. All right. Also, leftists are fired up about a possible resolution to honor Charlie Kirk in St. Louis County. So here's what I've got. I've got the basic details here in the news dump for you here. And then maybe around 8:20, let's dig into that. Is this something that, is it necessary? No, but is it something that is good to do?
Right.
So those are two different things here. All right. We got,
we got a caller.
Yep, we have Robert wants to talk with us. So I mean, he said he can wait till after the news dump.
Oh, great. We could. Okay, yeah. So Robert, hang on. Let me run through a few stories here, and then we'll get to you right before we go to the segment here. And also the Cardinals did the Cardinal thing again. Okay, 8:06 right now. Let's dump some news on you here.
The morning news dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, is St. Louis the next city to become a military police state? President Trump in the Oval Office says he is considering sending federalized National Guard troops.
We got to save St. Louis. We got to save these cities. This isn't like, we're going to do something. We have to save St. Louis. We have to save Chicago.
Okay, St. Louis City Police spokesman Mitch McCoy tells Fox 2 that they have not had any discussions with the White House over a possible deployment.
No, we haven't had those conversations. There have been very brief conversations with the governor's office, but that is limited to, hey, have you heard anything?
Okay, so the president has not indicated any timetable for making a decision on sending the military into St. Louis. Governor Kehoe has not indicated any interest in activating the National Guard, because remember, what President Trump's talking about is basically sending in the military to be police. There are massive constitutional issues with that, because Washington, D.C. is a whole different setup, and we've beaten that whole thing to death. But there is a bigger picture than just an immediate violent crime problem, because the city government has been derelict in its duty for decades.
Even if we're just talking about the National Guard being brought in to handle logistical things, like we've discussed this before, how them doing logistical things kind of behind the scenes to free up officers to be on the beat and actually interact with the public to enforce the law. That actually is a viable use, I should say, of the National Guard. But the thing is, two things can be true at the same time. St. Louis does need to be saved.
Absolutely.
It absolutely does. But that's also not the role of the federal government to make it their job to do.
If the governor said, I'm thinking about doing this, that's a whole different discussion.
Yes, absolutely.
It really is. And there's no constitutional worry about it.
Right. Yeah. And even then, even with the governor, I want there to be a significant situation, a serious situation to require the Guard to come in, as opposed to, I don't know, just allowing the police to do their jobs, having the prosecutors who actually will prosecute people, and judges who won't, set all the criminals free on us. It'd be nice if the system was fixed. You can't just throw this gigantic, militarized Band-Aid on everything and think it's going to work.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. If it does happen, though, it should be at the state level, because I want people from our community, from our state. I don't want people that don't know Missouri culture coming here and policing us.
All right. The St. Louis County Council is going to consider a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk at this evening's meeting. Councilman Mark Harder put that on the agenda. We spoke with him about an hour ago. The meeting starts at 6:30. It is open to the public. So 8:20, let's get into this a little bit, because Mark tells me, and he told us on the air, that their phones and their emails are blowing up with opposition from activists in the area. They are hearing from supporters too. So let's get into what you think about that.
Lefties are big mad.
Oh, very, very, very angry here. Okay. Let's see here. Vice President J.D. Vance taking the unusual step of hosting Charlie Kirk's podcast yesterday. The vice president, who was friends with Kirk, urged listeners to do what he says is carrying on Charlie Kirk's legacy.
I can't promise you this is going to be easy. I can't promise you that all of us will avoid Charlie's fate. Can't promise you that I will avoid Charlie's fate. But the best way to honor him is to shine the light of truth like a torch in the very darkest places. Go do it. We owe it to our friend to ensure that his killer is not just prosecuted, but punished. And the worst punishment is not the death penalty, but the knowledge that Charlie's mission continues after he's gone.
Okay, now Charlie Kirk's memorial service is set for Sunday. in Arizona, and that's going to be broadcast on a variety of conservative networks. Okay, multiple lawsuits and a ballot initiative. Those are the tactics being used to fight the new congressional maps in Missouri. A new left-wing group calling itself People Not Politicians is trying to put the new map up for a vote through a referendum, not a constitutional amendment, a referendum. Now, if the group gets the required 100,000 valid signatures before December 11th, the new maps would then be paused until at least the November 2026 election, when voters would then decide whether to keep it or reject it. Now, that would mean that the current district boundaries would stay in place through the end of the next congressional term. So it's all going to come down to whether or not they can get that many signatures before December 11th. Okay, here's an interesting question. How much do Christians disagree about President Trump? Michael Harrington has the story.
Evangelicals are one of Mr. Trump's key blocks of support, but not every Christian in America voted for him. And a new poll from the Pew Research Center finds that most believers don't have any problem with that. The survey reveals that 80% of self-described Christians say that followers of Christ can disagree about the president. 11% say opposing him is fundamental to being a Christian, while 7% say supporting him is fundamental. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
It bothers me that so many people are rolling their politicians into theology and their faith. That gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, it's not a good place to be. It's certainly not a biblical place to be. But at least the numbers pan out about what I would expect from just the general public. Because I always think of somewhere between 10 and 20% are people who are getting it wrong. Whatever the issue is, there's somewhere between 10 and 20% of people are getting it wrong. And it sounds like 18% of people are saying it's either fundamental to oppose or fundamental to support. That's actually wrong. It sounds about right.
Yep. All right. The Cardinals come from behind and took the lead. Then they lost the lead.
Oh,
then they tied it back up.
Yay.
Then they lost the game.
Dang it.
Okay. Final score at Busch Stadium last night was Cardinals 6, Reds 11.
Took us on a little roller coaster ride there.
I did. The second game of the series is this evening at 6:45. And there were dozens of people on the edge of their seat at Busch Stadium last night watching that game. Okay. The loss drops the Redbirds back to 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. There are 11 games to go in the season. So mathematically, they have not been eliminated from the playoffs, but they ain't going to the playoffs.
Right.
It ain't happening. All right. 8:12 right now. All right. What do we have here?
We have Robert.
Okay. Robert, you're on News Talk STL.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I wanted to speak about Governor Spencer Cox. I don't think enough is being said about him, about the positive and stabilizing voice that he has lent to the overall conversations going on right now. And I tell you, I've been a Republican long enough, and I'm old enough to remember when the Republican Party consisted of lots of people like Spencer Cox.
And by the way, Robert,
the utter freak show.
Let me jump in. By the way, for those who don't know, Spencer Cox is the governor of Utah right now, where obviously Charlie Kirk was killed. So just so people know which governor you're talking about. Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah. So I'm old enough to remember when there were lots of Spencer Coxes in the Republican Party. It was not the current freak show of conspiracy theorists, grifters, hanger-ons, just overall nut jobs. Do you think the day will ever come where the Republican Party gets back to normalcy, or will it just stay as this bizarre religious cult?
Which governors are you referring to being like conspiracy theory nut jobs? So let me make sure I know who we're talking about.
Well, not governors, just the overall party, starting with the big piece of garbage in the White House.
Oh, okay. So you think all of us are crazy?
I see.
I got you.
Okay.
All right.
Got
Cool.
it. Got it. Okay.
Right. No, not all of you, but look at the GOP. It's a freak show compared to what it used to be.
Well, it's definitely not conservative anymore.
I mean,
now I will say this.
No.
I think at the state level in Missouri, and I can't, speak to any other states, Illinois' Republican Party, is basically being steamrolled by the left. Missouri, I think, has a pretty overall conservative Republican Party that's becoming more conservative.
Yeah, but you have nut jobs like Eric. You got crazy people like Eric Schmidt and Andrew Bailey, and I mean, give me a break. You guys are.
So
Josh
here's
Hawley. I mean,
well, I'm not a Josh Hawley fan. I'm going to agree with you about Josh Hawley, but because I think
did you hear?
I think he's gone
Eric
too far
Schmidt's
left.
Lovely American. American Christian nationalist, white supremacist speech a week or so ago? That was really nice.
I'm curious what part was white supremacist.
I didn't hear the whole thing, but it's basically along the lines of real Americans are white. If you came here from Europe, you're okay. If you came from somewhere else, you don't have our values.
Did he really say that?
I mean, you said along the lines of, what does that mean?
Did he say that?
He said some pretty ridiculous, absurd things. Again,
give me one quote.
I don't have one to give you. Sorry.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, so that's
all right.
But that's the thing is Eric Schmidt. I've known Eric Schmidt a very long time.
Yeah.
I've known him since he was in the state legislature. I've known him a long time. I know him personally. He's not a racist guy.
If Trump asks Eric Schmidt to roll over and bark like a dog, Eric Schmidt will do that within 2 or 3 seconds. Frankly, most of the GOP will. It's a joke.
Not the Eric Schmidt that I know. There are Republicans I think who would do that.
Well, no.
There are some I think you would. I think you're right.
Yeah.
The Eric Schmidt you know is probably pre-Trump. They've all thrown their values out the window. They all love their jobs more than they love the country, and they're willing to do whatever they have to do to please Trump.
Well, here's the thing. On this show, we like to call balls and strikes.
Right.
So when Trump is doing things that we consider, in line with conservatism, in line with, what standard Republican values have been for a long while, we're on his side, and we support him for, wholeheartedly in that effort. If he crosses a line into some of the populist stuff that he's we just a minute ago we're talking about how we don't want him to send the National Guard here. We're just like a couple seconds ago.
When he's right, he's right. When he's wrong,
he's right, he's right. And when he's wrong, he's wrong. And we call balls and strikes. And the thing is, just because you support somebody with your vote or with your even general political support doesn't mean you support 100% of what they do.
Hey, right, it's Robert, right? Right. Okay. Hey, Robert, real quick, because we're a little over time here. So because I always encourage people to disagree to call in. I appreciate that. So I get your assessment of the Republican Party. What's your assessment of the Democratic Party right now? Because we're looking at so many of the spokespeople and main figures and politicians on there and saying the equivalent thing about them on the left. How do you assess the state of the Democratic Party right now?
The Dems are a joke, but they're way less of a threat than the Republican Party. The Democrat Party right now is cancer. The Republican Party and MAGA is a heart attack. They'll both kill you. They're both really bad, but the heart attack is here and now. Cancer, you can kick the can down the road a little bit. And the Republican Party right now is a heart attack. And Trump and MAGA are friggin' the worst thing ever for this country. The guy is despicable.
Okay, I'm a little over time. I actually gave you a few extra minutes that I wasn't supposed to do because we're behind time a little bit. Robert, even though we disagree on so much, I appreciate you having a civil conversation.
Yeah, thanks for talking to us.
All right, got some thoughts, 314-912-1019. Also, St. Louis County considering a resolution for Charlie Kirk. So there's a couple different layers to that. The Republicans are already saying they are getting lit up by the leftist activists who don't want this to happen.
Right.
Should it happen? Let's talk about that just ahead.
One steep part, no destination. Making cold my to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You are a bully?
On News Talk STL.
Indifference. Stop it right
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
So the Charlie Kirk debate is coming to St. Louis County tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We spoke with Councilman Mark Harder a little bit ago, and I talked to Mark on the phone last night. He's proposing that the county council approve a resolution that honors Charlie Kirk. The actual language of that's going to be available a little bit later on today, but that's on the agenda. They're going to talk about that. One, is this something the county council should be doing? Secondly, what do you make of the opposition to it? Let's get to that in just a moment here. Speaking of Charlie Kirk, I ended up filling in for Jamie Ullman yesterday on his program, and I spoke with Dr. Everett Piper, and he's been on the program before. You've seen Everett's work in everything from Newsmax to Fox News to, the National Review. And so he's a very, very well-respected conservative. He was an academic. He's retired now. Now he's more of a conservative social commentator and author. And he really had some really intriguing things to do regarding how Charlie Kirk has highlighted faith in public life.
Yeah.
And so we touch a little bit on policy and politics, but really about that challenge to people's faith and the role that it has in our culture and society. And so if you missed that, or if you want to hear it again, we're going to give that to you at around 8:35, just to let you know there. 8:23 right now. Okay, so Mark decides to put on the agenda a resolution honoring Charlie Kirk. Now, we don't have the exact language just yet, but what Mark told us was that basically it would honor Charlie Kirk for being a father, husband, advocate of free speech, advocate, traditional values and perspectives, who was assassinated while trying to engage in free speech on a college campus. And there's a 4-3 Democratic majority. Now, being Democrat doesn't necessarily mean they're going to vote no on this, but he told us that as soon as this started hitting the news, and it happened very quickly yesterday afternoon, he says his phone line is blowing up with angry leftists, and their email is blowing up with angry leftists opposing this. I suspect, Gabe, that the council is going to have a lot of leftists who are angry about a resolution. Now, remember, the resolution has no governmental force whatsoever. It's just a statement.
Yeah, it's not like they're gonna do something with flags, or they're not erecting a statue to the guy, or they're not having a gold-plated coffin brought in for them to kneel before. I'm not referencing anything. I'm sure.
Right.
This is just one of those things that various elected bodies, legislative bodies, will do to recognize some matter of public import.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because you asked the question. I'm so glad you asked that, to say, well, Charlie Kirk doesn't have any connection to St. Louis County or the St. Louis region that I know of.
Right.
He's got a connection to Chicago because, basically Turning Point started in a suburb of Chicago. And so I thought the same thing. I thought, well, I mean, do we need to comment on every single, public thing that happens in the national news? And the answer is, do we need to? No, but is there a place for that? Well, that's a different question.
Right.
And Mark wasn't arguing because he was conservative, because, he supported President Trump, because nothing like that. He said, here's somebody who advocated for free speech and civil dialogue with young people. And he was assassinated for his beliefs and for his efforts. Okay. I can buy that. I can lean into that. And he also brought up, and I'd forgotten about this until he said this, but he's right, is that the county council has passed resolutions supporting and honoring Planned Parenthood and honoring Margaret Sanger,
of all people.
I forgot about that.
Right.
And so if a county council can honor a dead eugenicist,
avowed racist
eugenicist like Margaret Sanger, and do resolutions for Pride Month and all this sort of thing, why wouldn't they also, in the interest of being objective and representing the multiple viewpoints? Because, St. Louis County is a light blue county. It's a little more, purple than probably what the Democrats want, but it's light blue. The Republicans can win the executive race if things go well, but it's an uphill fight for them. But it's definitely majority Democrat.
Right.
But there's also a lot of Republicans there. Now, there are conservatives in there. So if you can honor Pride Month, if you with official declarations or resolutions, if you could put the pride flags up on county property, if you can honor Planned Parenthood, if you can honor Margaret Sanger, then if that's the precedent you've set, then what's wrong with saying, here's a young man who was advocating for civil dialogue and free speech, who was assassinated for living out his life's work? We'll add him to the list of people who were recognized and honored with a non-binding resolution.
I would ask the question this way: if something, now the left doesn't really have a Charlie Kirk right now. Now I think in years past there were individuals who kind of rose to national prominence who weren't necessarily politicians, like the Al Sharptons of the world,
or Bill Maher,
or the maybe Bill Maher.
Maybe
I don't think he had the same political sort of or social impact that they were. But let's say back in the 90s. Al Sharpton,
right?
90s Al Sharpton, I think was
80s Jesse Jackson.
80s Jesse Jackson. Yeah. Let's say one of those guys got assassinated while doing the work. They're out, and a Democrat council said, we're going to adopt a resolution honoring the work of this individual. I don't think they'd get much, if any, pushback from the Republicans, because it's like, oh my gosh, of course. Of course, because as much as and here's the thing I always hear from the Republicans. And conservatives, as much as we disagreed, they were this, that, and the other positive thing. That's pretty much the standard construction of how Republicans and conservatives respond when somebody on the left or to the left of them is hurt or killed or even just dies of natural causes. Is like remember when they surprised President Trump on the tarmac with the news that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, right? Yeah. It's like, when you're surprised by that news, that's when the most truest version of your reaction is available. At least it's on the table. And now there are disciplined people who can suppress that and lie about it. But his immediate reaction is, "Wow, that's sad." It's like she did a lot. She did a lot for this country.
She lived an extraordinary life. Something like that.
Something along those lines. That was his immediate reaction, as opposed to, well, I guess I better get my my list dusted off of people I would like to appoint to replace her. He didn't go there. He simply acknowledged that this person lived an extraordinary and impactful life in America.
Yeah,
that is supposed to be the reaction, left or right.
Right.
But what we keep getting from the left is, no, you can't honor him because he was and then insert some sort of libelous or slanderous epithet.
Yeah. So here's the bottom line is that if you agree with Mark and say, well, this is an appropriate thing to do, especially considering how many resolutions they've done honoring stuff on the far left, then contact your county council person. Even better, go to the meeting. It starts at 6:30. If you want to speak, get there a little bit early and sign up to speak and make a calm, civil, rational case, because the left is going to be making the screeching, screaming arguments, name calling and things like that. But Mark says that they are being lit up by the activists, by the leftist, the far leftist. And so if nothing else, you can make your voice heard by at least sending in an email or making a phone call, because those they do tally them. They do record those. And hearing somebody say, no, I think this is a good idea. If you're going to do it for others, you should do it for this, and at least honor his push for civility and for open debate and for free speech, which are things everybody should be able to agree on. So got some thoughts on that. Contact him directly, but don't be afraid to go to the meeting tonight in Clayton as well. Okay. Charlie Kirk was a little bit different than a lot of cultural and political pundits in that he advocated for faith in public life.
Oh, yeah.
In a big way.
Very explicitly a Christian figure.
What kind of influence is he leaving behind in that? I spoke with Dr. Everett Piper about that. And we're going to bring you that conversation right around 8:35.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
6 days to go until the official start of fall, but summer temperatures hanging on out there. Lots of sunshine today, another hot one up to 93 this afternoon. Humidity actually coming down a bit through the day. 80s for your evening plans, and then dropping to 68 for the overnight low under clear skies. Got more of the same on tap Wednesday and Thursday. Dry weather, highs around 92 or 93. Finally looking at least a chance of rain from Friday into the weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
In the wake of Charlie's assassination, his message has only grown. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
I'm alpine skier Michaela Schifrin. I've won the most World Cup ski races in history. But what does success mean to me? Success means discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us. And it's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. If you're looking for success, surround yourself with the people who will get you there. If you're an advisor or investor, choose Stifel, where success meets success.
Stifel Nicholas & Company Incorporated. Member SIPC and NYSE.
Past performance is no indication of future results. Investing involves risk. Consult a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Tragedy, something beautiful happened after Charlie Kirk's assassination, a moment that shook the conservative movement. His organization, Turning Point USA, didn't slow down, it surged forward. According to TPUSA, within days, more than 18,000 new chapter requests poured in. We're talking high schoolers, college kids, young people who watched Charlie fight for free speech and conservative values and decided to pick up the torch. They didn't just mourn, they organized, they built. And behind it all was the message Charlie preached again and again. You're not too young, you're not too small. The country needs you now. As campuses gear up and new chapters launch nationwide, Charlie's voice is still being heard, not just through a microphone, but through a movement. His legacy isn't just remembered, it's mobilized, ready, and full of patriotism. Young Americans will lead this charge, and soon this generation will lead the conservative movement nationwide. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down.
Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
It is awesome.
And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
When we talk about the legacy of Charlie Kirk, we obviously talk a lot about his conversations with college students and doing battle with that woke left-wing indoctrination. And that's definitely true for a political issue perspective and a cultural perspective. But what about the discussions of faith that Charlie Kirk never shied away from and how it relates to those other two things? Hey, Mike Ferguson here. Okay, so that's a crucial part of the history and the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Now, I was filling in for Jamie Allman on Monday, and I had a chance to visit with Dr. Everett Piper. And of course, he's the author of the best-selling book, Not a Daycare, The Devastating Consequences of Abandoning Truth. And he was also the president of Oklahoma Wesleyan University for 17 years. So he knows a thing or two about the college environment. And he's had some really provocative and thought-inducing comments on social media regarding the impact of Charlie Kirk and his legacy and the conversations and the activism that is spurring from Kirk's assassination. And you know what? That conversation got a lot of response, so I wanted to give you a chance to hear it as well. Here's my discussion with Dr. Everett Piper. We have had tragedies in our body politic before. We have had conflicts. We've had violence before. There's something different about what's happened here and the ripple effect and the impact that this seems to be happening, not even just on politics, but I think in culture is so much bigger than what so many people thought. What is it or was it about what Charlie Kirk did and maybe even the way that he died that's having such a massive impact and connecting with people in such a personal way?
Well, again, it's good to be talking to you again. In answer to your question, I would say this. I think that our culture is so polarized right now between good and evil. The middle ground has disappeared. And what we see right now is way too many people celebrating the violent death of somebody they disagreed with. And this is somewhat new. And I think social media contributes to it because everybody can say what they're actually thinking, and therefore they do. And you see tens of thousands or more people in Blue Sky and TikTok and Instagram and whatnot actually celebrating the death of somebody that they simply disagreed with. In other words, they didn't like his ideas, and therefore failing to debate him effectively in the arena, which he always invited them to do. Charlie Kirk was a proponent of free speech to the extreme. He invited everybody to the microphone. He gave everybody an audience. In fact, he instructed his staff to let those who disagreed with him most have the microphone first in these dialogues he conducted on college campuses. And what essentially happened is they couldn't beat him in a debate, and therefore they killed him. And watching that happen, I think those who understand the biblical worldview that everybody is broken, the original sin, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. If we say that we are without sin, we make God out to be a liar. The prophet Isaiah tells us that there's no one that seeks goodness and righteousness. This worldview, the Christian worldview, the biblical worldview, that none of us are good, all of us are sinners, and we only will find salvation for the brokenness we see in the mirror through the Savior that we read about in the Bible. That worldview is coming into stark contrast with a secular worldview that is diminished, dumbed down the definition of the human being to nothing but an animal, and therefore when one dies that you disagree with, you can celebrate it rather than feel bad about it. And I think that is shocking a lot of people right now. I think that's why we're talking today.
When you look, and let me follow up on what you were just saying. We're visiting with Dr. Everett Piper. DrEverettPiper.com is the website, but we'll give you more information on that here in just a couple of minutes. When you see that conversation, which was on college campuses, sometimes hostile with Charlie Kirk, and then obviously through social media, it's argued about on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. Do you see this chain of events as bringing those conversations, not just about politics, but we're talking about sexuality. We're talking about traditional families. We're talking about masculinity. We're talking about faith. Do you see that growing in and as a result of his assassination to a level that maybe we would not have seen otherwise?
Oh, absolutely. Look at the millions. You've seen it. I'm just telling you stuff you've already probably talked about on your show. Millions of people around the world, in Oxford, England, in London, across the world, people are meeting, and you see the aerial views, and there are hundreds of thousands of people, and some are reporting that in the streets of London, it approached 1 million of people coming out because they recognize the worldview of Charlie Kirk, i.e. Orthodox Christianity. Dying to self and being born again in Christ. I'm sorry, folks. This is biblical language that's been around for 2,000 years, and it's true, and it works. And it works because it's true. And without that gospel, that redemptive message of Christ, we are a very broken and evil race. I don't care what your politics are. If you don't respond with unqualified disgust to the murder of a man who simply wanted to talk to college students, there's something wrong with you. Blaming Charlie Kirk, even Christians that are out there contextualizing Charlie Kirk's assassination as if, well, it was wrong to kill him, but he was inflammatory. I have no patience for that. Zero patience for that. If you can't condemn the assassination of a man who went on college campuses and just gave everybody a microphone and debated them openly, in the classical model of what colleges and universities are supposed to be. If you can't condemn his assassination without any qualification, without any nuance, then there's something desperately wrong with you. This just blatantly needs to be condemned. And many people right now recognize it. And again, they're not burning down neighborhoods in protest. They're meeting in prayer, and they're singing hymns, and they're walking through the streets of the world right now saying there's something right about Charlie Kirk's worldview, and there's something wrong with the rest of us. There's something broken in all of us. We need to be redeemed.
Everett, there's a lot of pundits out there on the conservative side who do events at college campuses, who do events on social media, do podcasts, and we could name a lot of them. And there's some really good ones out there. What was different about Charlie Kirk?
I'm not name dropping, but I had the privilege of being with him on the platform. I was on a 4-person panel with him about 10 years ago. He was only 21 years old at the time. People just recognized he believed it. I think what's different about Charlie Kirk is he believed it. This wasn't a performance. This wasn't theater. This was important to him. It's who he was. He was true. He believed in the truth with a capital T, and he believed that it was worth giving everything to promote that truth. For the good of culture, for the good of his family, for the good of his church, for the good of his country, for the good of his generation, he believed it. And you could sense it, you could feel it, you could hear it. This was a believable man because he believed. Now, you may say, well, there are a lot of other people that you may be that way. I may be that way. God blesses some people with a platform, and he gave Charlie a platform. He blessed his hard work. Charlie was relentless. He was a very hardworking person. And because Charlie increasingly over time started integrating his biblical worldview into every answer that he gave. He wasn't afraid of saying, look, conservatism makes sense because we're conserving the time-tested truths that have been revealed to us by God, and let me share those truths with you. And if you entertain these truths and consider converting to these truths, if you will, you'll be a freer, happier and better person for it. And so will your community. I mean, that is contagious. If they think like Erica Kirk said, okay, like Erica Kirk said, and I'll tell you what, if people haven't listened to her, go listen to her. Halfway through her comments on Friday night, she looked at the camera and she said, if those who killed my husband think that they have silenced his words, you have no idea what you've unleashed. And she didn't say it with anger. She didn't say it as if, all hell is going to break loose against you. No, she said it with love and compassion because she believes the truth will set you free. And she knows that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church, and the blood of her husband will multiply tens of thousands, millions of times fold as the result of what they've done to him.
Everett, in the last couple minutes that we've got here, okay, so what do we do with this tragic situation? People are angry, people are hurt, there's a variety of emotions that completely are understandable at this point. So how do we take the crumblings of this tragedy right here and do something with it and build something that fixes or improves the culture? Where do we go from here with this?
Well, I'm going to speak to fellow believers right now. And if you're not a born-again Christian listening to me, then listen to me right now. Consider it. Why was Charlie Kirk willing to say what he said and do what he did? Why is Erica Kirk capable of coming forward and making those comments? Out of conviction and courage, not out of resentment and revenge. Why? So what can we do if we've already been born again? We need to eschew violence. Don't go after. Don't go eye for eye and tooth for tooth. No, that is not the gospel. Be bold and courageous. Run into the storm. Wave the banner of the truth of Christ and the truth of Scripture. Wave the banner of the time-tested truths of God. Tell people that this is the worldview that will gain you more freedom rather than less. Tell people that you are willing to stand in the market square, literally the market square of ideas, and say these things because it's changed your life for the good. People are willing to listen to this right now. Don't back down. Be bold and courageous. Always abounding in the goodness of the Lord. Always saying what's true, and trust. If we win waving that banner, great. That's God's grace. Charlie won waving that banner. That's God's grace. Even though he's in heaven right now, he won. His voice is being multiplied by tens of thousands, if not millions. If we win waving that banner, great, that's God's grace. But if you lose temporally in this world waving that banner, so what? It's the right banner to wave. Be willing to go down fighting.
You can connect with Dr. Piper at Dr. Everett Piper, dreverettpiper.com, or just find him on social media. Got some thoughts on what you just heard? Let's talk about it. We got a few minutes left. 314-912-1019. Still got time to get your thoughts in on the program.
Escape to Augusta, Missouri, where country charm meets endless possibilities. Just a short drive from St. Louis, discover our beautiful wineries, bike the scenic Katy Trail, and explore our rich history. Looking for romance? Our charming bed and breakfasts offer true hospitality with fine dining at local restaurants, wineries, and breweries. It's time to spend some time in the country. Augusta welcomes you. Learn more at augustachamber.org.
Join us for the annual St. Louis County Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner on Saturday, September 27th at the River City Casino Hotel Ballroom. Hear from top Missouri state and federal officials, plus special guest federal IRS agent Joseph Ziegler, who played a key role in the Hunter Biden investigation. Enjoy dinner, networking, and a silent auction. For tickets, call Renee Artman at 314-398-6667 or email reneeartman1530@gmail.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
We are learning more about the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk and his surroundings. What fueled the hate?
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Got a lot of complimentary comments on that conversation we had with Dr. Everett Piper both yesterday and today.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to catch that conversation, that's actually on Jamie Allman's podcast. On the site, because I was filling in for Jamie yesterday when that conversation first happened. So check that out. And that's a good one, I think, to send out just for conversation. Now, the Jamie Allman podcast with that one that's actually the full discussion. I actually had to clip out a little bit of it for the morning show, because not to get too technical, but Jamie's what we call clocks. His segments are longer than our segments, so I needed to make that fit. So if you want to hear that entire discussion, just go to the podcast, make sure you're subscribed. And of course, you can subscribe to Mike Ferguson in the morning here as well. Love for you to do that. All right. Coming up on that 8:52 here. Steve Forbes is going to be on this program tomorrow. I'm really, really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
I've admired his work. I've enjoyed his writings. Obviously I like Forbes magazine, his work on, Fox Business and, his commentary and his podcast in particular. So I'm really looking forward to that. He's got a tremendous insight into the economy, but he understands free markets in a way that I think a lot of people don't. Because when you think about the economy, we talk about economics, a lot of people's eyes just glaze over, Economics is not math. Economics is measuring and the study of human behavior.
It is, yeah. It's essentially an observation of cause and effect. If you think about it, it's a lot more of a science than a numbers crunching.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Which is why if you tell the human story, the whole economics thing makes a lot more sense. And I would hope people become more free market in everything, in policy wise. So we're going to have that conversation with Steve Forbes on Thursday. That is going to be at Lindenwood University's Scheidegger Center. I think there might be a few tickets left, but there's a lot of tickets that have gone out. Now, those are free. Don't get me wrong. They're free. So you can go to newstalkstl.com. Just look for the banner there with Steve Forbes. And if you want to see if there's any tickets left, go ahead and do that. Now, if you've already got your ticket, make sure you be there. Mm-hmm. First of all, almost all of us from the station are going to be there. Love to say hi and see you there. And, if you see us, hey, grab us, say hi. Love to meet you. Or see you again, because there's a lot of folks I've seen the number of our events, which I really, really enjoy doing. So do that. And I think it's going to be a really fascinating night. We're going to leave on Thursday evening, and it's not going to take forever. I mean, it's going to be a nice, concise event with Steve Forbes. And yeah, you're going to have a chance to submit questions for him as well. So I think it's going to be one of those things where you don't necessarily have to have partisan leanings to take something from this. So this is something that I would encourage everybody to get out there. You've got that ticket, mark it off on the calendar, make sure you come out there. The Scheidegger Center has more than enough parking, plenty of parking. That's not going to be an issue. It's easy to get in and out of. It's really designed well.
Yeah, understanding the importance of having a strong economy and why free markets are one of the best building blocks for a healthy society is, I mean, that should not be unless you're one of those crazy Marxists, it really should not be a political thing.
No, wait, right.
And
exactly.
if you know crazy Marxists, then you should listen to the conversation, and then you can send it to them on the podcast so they can actually get an education they missed out on.
And so we're partnering with the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise to bring this event to you. Have you ever been to the Scheidegger Center?
I have not.
It is a beautiful theater. I've done a lot of work and produced, video and stuff from events that are out there. Walter Williams' last big public appearance was at the Scheidegger Center.
Oh.
And then he passed away, I don't know, 6 months later, 7 months later, something like that. So the Scheidegger Center, that's where the famous Grover Norquist and the Green Party, Ralph, who's the Green Party guy? Shoot. He's really famous. I'm going to think of it in a second here, but it was like polar opposites. And they had a civil discussion 10, 12 years ago, and that happened at the Scheidegger Center as well. And so, there's been a lot of great things out there. They have a lot of concerts out there. It's a lot of fun. But it's going to be a really enjoyable evening. So, for those of you who have already reserved your tickets, understand these things are in demand. So please come on out and say hi. News Talk will be there. Look for our banner and stuff like that. We'd love to see you. Yeah.
And even if you can't stay the entire time, I mean, showing up to show these people that you put a free event on for us and we value that. We want more of this in our community. I mean, that's going to help everybody out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's a really great event. Of course, Lindenwood University, just down off First Capitol, just off of I-70. It's really easy, really easy to get in and out of right there. So it's going to be a fantastic evening, man. A lot of good discussion.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't normally do the, hey, what did we learn today? Recap kind of thing. Those are really cheesy, but the discussions around, for instance, the free speech issue and Pam Bondi now taking the position that the leftist position that hate speech based on what people think of what you say should be prosecuted by the government.
Yeah.
This is a really, really dangerous step. And this is what happens when populists who have an R in front of their name take on leftist talking points. And that's what Pam Bondi has done. In my opinion, she's disqualified herself from being attorney general. I think she should resign, or I think Donald Trump should fire her. He's not calling me and asking my opinion on it, but she has basically stomped all over the First Amendment by threatening government force against people for saying things that are hateful. And she's not talking about making threats or coordinating violence. That's not what we're talking about. Nobody's arguing that's free speech. We're talking about her saying there's free speech and then there's hate speech. That's not true. She's wrong. The First Amendment is there to protect controversial, objectionable, even offensive speech. And at a time like this, when emotions are redlining, we've got to make sure that we make it clear that we value those constitutionally acknowledged and protected freedoms.
Yeah, I hate people that think like that. Come get me.